Ferris Bueller's Day Off when they went to the restaurant, snotty, the rich restaurant, and the maitre d' was like, "Can I help you?"
I just love when his sister was like, "Do you know this? No. Do you know that? No. Do you know anything?"
Where's that from?
That's his sister calling like some customer service or something.
Oh yeah.
Operator.
Oh, his sister's cute. Yeah.
That was Jennifer Grey, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love when she's sitting with Charlie Sheen in the office.
That's the best.
Yeah.
It's not even the conversation. It's that one moment where the camera pans back and you see him with his drugged out blank stare.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I'll play the audio. Stupid ads. By the way, I'll tell you after. A wonderful article they wrote today on MarketWatch.com. You know, the one of these mainstream news sites.
You wear too much eye makeup. My sister wears too much. People think she's a whore. You don't want to talk about your problem.
With you, are you serious?
I'm serious.
Blow yourself.
He's looking down.
You want to know what's wrong?
Oh my god.
I know what's wrong. Just want to hear you say it.
In a nutshell, I hate my brother. How's that?
That's cool. Did you blow him away or something?
No, not yet. See, I went home to confirm that the shithead was ditching school, and when I was there, a guy broke into the house. I called the cops, and they picked me up for making a phony phone call.
What do you care if your brother ditches school?
Why should he get to ditch when everybody else has to go?
You could ditch.
Yeah, I'd get caught.
So you're pissed off because he ditches and doesn't get caught, is that it?
Basically.
Basically. And your problem is you.
Excuse me?
Excuse you. You want to spend a little more time dealing with yourself, a little less time worrying about what your brother does. That's just an opinion.
What are you, a psychiatrist?
No.
Why don't you keep your opinions to yourself?
Somebody you should talk to.
If you say Ferris Bueller, you lose a testicle.
Well, you know him.
Don't they like hook up at the end of the movie or something like that?
Yeah, at the end of that scene. No, but the best scene, it wasn't included there, where he's asking, like, what are you here for? She's like, what are you here for? He's like, drugs.
Yeah.
No, he's like, are you here for drugs? She's like, no, what are you here for? Drugs.
Speaking of drugs, here's a headline. Shmomiron caused spike in deaths in schmaxinated people. Analysis finds, though unschmaxinated remain most at risk.
So Shmomiron, the highest deaths in vaccinated people are the ones who got Shmomiron after they got
I don't know if it's the highest,
vaccinated.
it says caused the spike in deaths.
Okay.
You know, sometimes I get the feeling that they're just slowly admitting the problem, but clinging to, whatever they have to say.
There's so much more going on here.
Obviously.
It's very difficult. They're sending two exactly opposing messages.
I know.
And what they're proving that no matter what they say initially, it's the last statement that they say that is the only one that people can process.
Correct.
Basically, they can say several contradictory statements.
Yeah.
It's the last one that will stick, and they know that. Okay? It's some kind of deep psychological, manipulation.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, they could literally say, like I've noticed that even with the with the with the UFO reports, right?
Mm-hmm.
They go on the news. They say, here's this case that happened in this year. Here's this case. Here's this evidence. Here's this evidence. And then at the very end, after all that, they'll say something like, yeah, well, I mean, it still could be Chinese drones. You know, after you just watch 20 minutes of them proving that that's impossible, but because they made that statement at the end, that's the one that people will absorb, that will stick to.
Yeah, of course.
It's similar. Yeah.
Somebody's asking a question. What is the word for people who celebrate the death of unborn babies? There was a word in the Torah for that, like specifically, or in history. It's
Moloch worshippers.
That's what it is, right?
I mean, Moloch was where that was where they sacrificed kids.
Yeah.
Although I think they sacrificed kids in all of them. I'm not sure, but I think Moloch especially.
Who were children sacrificed to in the Bible? Let's see. Yeah, Molech. Yeah, that's basically it. Moloch, or Molech?
Moloch, I think.
Child sacrifice in the time of Abraham Avinu. Yep, that's basically it.
So what, do you have any information on this whole Supreme Court thing?
Basically, it's like this. Roe versus Wade was a ruling. It was a ruling as a result of a case that went all the way up to the Supreme Court, right?
Okay.
So it's a ruling, it's not a law. The actual ruling itself, I'm not a legal scholar, but from what I understand, the actual ruling itself was on shaky ground itself. This is back in the 70s or 80s. With that said, abortion is legal in every state in America. The only thing is that every state has different restrictions within that. So basically, this Alito guy, one of the judges, wrote a paper. He wrote a private paper in February saying his opinion about how Roe versus Wade is to be overturned.
Okay.
So that paper was leaked. Who leaked it? I'm going to put it to you like this. Justice Roberts, the supposedly conservative justice, the one that was appointed by Bush, and the one that was afraid to do anything about the,
Obamacare.
Not Obamacare. Well, besides from Obamacare, about the election.
They all did.
He tweeted. He said that we're going to do an investigation on who leaked it. To which I say, whoever smelt it, dealt it. Okay. So, and of course now, there's barbarians at the gates.
So many mysterious phrases that are said today by various people. Phrases I don't understand.
What do you mean?
Like barbarian. I've heard this phrase before. I don't know what it means.
There's a bunch of freaking crazy wokeists at the Supreme Court trying to break into the Supreme Court, and by them, it's not an insurrection. It's a valid revolution. When they do it, it's valid. When somebody else does it, it's insurrection. Okay. No.
So I want to correct you, if I may.
Okay.
There is no we in these institutions.
Okay.
Okay. There are people who are wokeists openly, and then they have their passive facilitators. There's no diametricity. I made that up. Diametricity.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all it is. You have. I don't know what the dynamics of that is. I don't know if everybody is thoroughly corrupted, and some people are just playing roles. Maybe that's definitely true for some.
Probably.
Or others, the ones who are, the passive, supposed conservatives, right? Are they just threatened? By a violent, mafia-like organization?
Of course.
And yeah. The question: how did they manage this? How do they infiltrate our government so thoroughly? And we said before, it's complacency on our part. We weren't paying attention, and we came home and we were watching TV instead of finding out what they're doing locally and on the state level, and then federally. And we're finding out what our kids are being taught, right? We just come home tired from work, so you just throw yourself in front of the propaganda box and kind of, fade away for the evening. So that's all true. But I think, it really has to be more than that, because it's so thorough. Their infiltration is so thorough. It's, so it has to be, the only reason, they have to be, they were given help by God. God helped them to do this.
Yeah, of course.
I was reading with my dad the first book of Samuel, Shmuel Aleph, chapter 26. This is, in the heat of King Saul hunting David and his band of men, right? And there's this one case where David was told that Shaul came looking for him with 3,000 soldiers, and he was camped at such and such a place, and he saw them. David went out there to take a look. He took Avishai with him. Avishai ben Ner, I believe. No, it's Avner ben Ner. No. Whatever. He took Avishai with him, and he saw everybody was asleep. Literally everyone, right? So much so that they were easily able to sneak up to Saul and grab the spear that was stuck into the ground by his head where he was sleeping. And Avishai is like, just let me do it. I won't even need more than one strike. That's what he said that in the text. He said that. And so obviously the word that was used there in a few psukim later was tardemat, right? And the last time, which means a deep sleep. The last time I saw that word, I can't really be 100% sure, but I feel fairly certain that that's only the second time that word has been used in the whole Torah. The first time is when Hashem put Adam to sleep, right? When he was gonna separate Eve out of him.
Mm-hmm.
That's what God did to us. Why did He do it to us?
Yeah.
That's how they infiltrated the entire government structure, and literally they neutralized any opposition ahead of time before we even realized.
Yeah.
I mean, that became perfectly clear to me during this election fraud catastrophe. This Horban that I call, it's almost like a Horban, That showed me that, like, how it was literally like some kind of, it was like the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, of course.
It was just like that. I felt like, in some of those Twilight Zone episodes, and in the movie, as well, the one in like the late 70s.
Yeah. And the thing is, I was showing people things, and it's just like,
no one.
It was like obvious things. It was like tachlis evidence, mamash like tachlis. It was like showing somebody, I don't know. This is a blue square, and you show me the blue square. Here's a blue square. No, can't be. I think some people just couldn't process. It would be to admit that this is real would be to admit that you don't have a legitimate system or legitimate government or legitimate anything. You live that. It would be basically to say, I live in a banana republic. the worst crime ever was committed. Since, I don't know when. Probably ever. Really ever. And it's too much for some people. Even if they, in the back of their mind, believe it. It's too much to say outright. You know, there were millions of schmotes flipped by a computer that had its IP addresses in Iran, Pakistan, and China and Russia. This is verified. So now the question is, if it's verified, then why didn't Trump do anything? He has all the information. He has everything. He does.
Well, if the institutions are as corrupted as the way we're describing them, then who did he have to go to? He went to the Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm.
He appointed some of those guys. Maybe he thought that there was some chance.
Instead of the Supreme Court, why don't you do what Lincoln did? Suspend habeas corpus for 30 minutes, go on television, and show the evidence. Just show it. Just show it to the world. You have access to do that. You're the president of the United States.
Maybe he didn't feel confident that it would be shown that whoever is. Maybe he really doesn't have access unless he gets permission from the.
What, the intelligence agencies?
What?
The intelligence agencies?
Yeah, I mean, if the intelligence agencies are so thoroughly corrupted, which they are, almost entirely. I'm not saying there's nobody left, but
that's what I'm saying. He had his people in there. The guys that guy that said, yeah, we completed the most extensive operation this country's ever seen, military operation.
Right, but there's no.
What was the military operation? There was no war.
Right, but there's no law enforcement. Do you understand? You could find. I was saying this to Ron Coleman, not in person, like on. I think he actually reposted this on Getter. I told him there's no. You can have a mountain of evidence, which is perfect and meticulous. The problem is who's going to enforce it. Okay. Yeah. So that's what I'm talking about. You know what? But just to go back for a second, what you were saying earlier, that people couldn't. They couldn't face the fact that their life is a lie, that their country is a lie, that their whole view of things and how things run is not what's going on at all. Yeah. And it reminded me of this movie. I hate to bring this up, but there was this movie where this girl was being terribly abused by her stepfather. Mm-hmm. Okay, daily for many, many years. Yeah. And the mother and the daughter didn't say anything, and then and then I don't remember how it got out. And the mother obviously didn't believe the daughter, and kicked the daughter out of the house because she couldn't assimilate the truth of that. She couldn't accept that her entire life has been a lie, that the man that she's married to is doing such a thing. That means she has to face the pain of such a thing happening to her daughter, and then get rid of this, guy, which is scary on many levels, right? So that seems to be maybe, I think you're right. I think that played a huge role in people's reaction to that situation. So I'm glad we're keeping it light and fluffy, keeping it nice and.
Some guy.
I can't remember what movie this is from, but Gary Marshall, Penny Marshall and Gary Marshall.
Yes.
I don't know if this was a movie. I don't know if this was like a show or they did a cameo. But it's like Gary Marshall. He's playing himself, and he's talking to someone. One of his like stars, some show he's producing. He's like, okay, you gotta remember, you gotta keep it nice and fluffy and happy. Laverne and Shirley. He's like. Does that ring a bell? I want to know where that's from. Keep it peppy. He's like, you keep it nice and peppy.
Hold on. Is it fluffy or peppy?
He said peppy. He said peppy, light and peppy.
Yeah, hold on.
Gary Marshall's a riot. They're both a riot.
Light and peppy?
Yeah, keep it peppy. Just write Gary Marshall, keep it peppy.
I mean,
that has to be.
It was on the set of Laverne and Shirley? Ooh, that could be it? No?
No. This was something that was more modern.
It's in a
after
movie?
2000. I can't remember if it's a movie or a show.
Hold on. Light and peppy. Wow. I don't know, man. That's
obscure, isn't it?
That's very obscure. I wouldn't even
Hold on.
That to start
Gary
looking for
Marshall.
that. You're talking
I'm
about
just gonna
boldest
type-
experiment in advertising history, Lost in America. Is this it?
Is it a movie?
It's a movie with him and what's his name? Albert Brooks. Attempts to get his money back from the desert and casino manager Gary Marshall. Here, let's see.
What? No. This is where Gary Marshall is actually playing himself.
Oh, okay.
It's some kind of like reality type thing. It's almost like it reminded me. It was very much.
It's not
like
Larry
Curb Your
David. It's not a. Is it documentary?
It's something of that nature. It's kind of like Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Discusses working with Robin Williams. Pretty Woman. I don't know. I wouldn't even. I'm telling you, I wouldn't even know where to begin looking for that. It's Creating Happy Days. I don't know. You.
Gary Marshall, peppy and cheap. That's depressing. Oh, I think I may have found it. Hold on. That's depressing and it's expensive. 2 words I hate. You know 2 words that I like? I like peppy and I like cheap. Oh, yes, Soap Dish. The movie Soap Dish, 1991. The classic, brilliant, like wonderful comedy. So
cheap. Let's see.
He's like, that's depressing.
Oh, no.
And it's expensive.
Here you go. Soap
Dish,
peppy and cheap. It's just literally a clip. Oh. It's just an audio. Somebody just cut that out. Soap Dish, peppy and cheap.
It's hilarious. It's probably the best part of the movie for me.
Let's see. Soap
Light
Dish.
Peppy.
Hold on. Soap opera. America's Sweetheart.
Sally Fielder.
Soap Dish. What do you say? Depressing? What's the other line that he had?
He said, that's depressing and it's expensive. 2 words I hate.
Uh-huh.
You know the words I like? I like the word peppy and the word cheap. Peppy and cheap.
Dude, I mean, I didn't even see this movie. I heard about it, but they don't have the. What's it called? They don't have the. They don't have the full clip. Unfortunately.
That's all right. Robert Downey Jr. was in this movie.
Yeah, I see it. I see him.
Randall is back from the dead? How dumb is this? The man was killed in 1973
Whoopi
in an
Goldberg.
auto accident.
So, he wasn't killed. He was maimed. We give him reconstructive surgery.
What are you talking about? The guy was decapitated. I looked it up. He was on his way to the Yukon in a pink convertible to see his brother, who's an ex-con named Francis, when a tractor-trailer came along and decapitated him. You know what that means. It means he doesn't have a head. How am I supposed to write for a guy that doesn't have a head? He's got no lips, no vocal cords. What do you want me to do?
They froze the head. They put it on ice, they put it back on in a precedent-setting 2-day operation. You know, it's like, will you use your imagination?
Oh, he doesn't have a head! Never mind. I will work this out myself. What I want you to help me understand is making Celeste Montana's mother. Now, did Celeste have her when she was 5, 6, 7, when?
Guess what? You'll work it out. You're a writer.
What is this horseshit? I'm Montana's mother? Never. And you.
No.
Oh, this leftist. What's her name?
Believe that you would
Don't
write something like
Sally
this.
Field.
And you.
I was under orders.
So was Hitler. Oh, no, I don't mean Hitler. I mean the other guy. The other one. No.
Yes.
Eichmann. Thank you. Eichmann. That's you. Rod Randall comes back from Vienna. I fall in love with him. And Montana turns out to be my daughter. How in the name of God is that possible?
All right, well, we haven't figured that out yet. But, it's a dark secret that's been torturing you for years.
David, you can't turn me into a grandmother. I still have my looks.
You know what? I think that the romance with Ron balances that.
Well, who plays him?
He's an actor's actor.
Oh, no. Oh, no. You're not going to stick me with that John Farbstein again, with the one with the yellow teeth and the long nose hair. I'm not getting in bed with him. There's some people I don't get in bed with.
Sorry, I thought this was my dressing room.
Kevin Kline.
Yeah.
Hello, Celeste.
Yeah, they passed out. Oh, this is the guy that came back.
How long is this clip? I mean, it sounds like the whole
It's like a
movie.
2-minute clip. No, it's like 2 minutes. It's just a lot going on. Kevin Kline. Whatever. Good actor.
Let's not hate on Kevin Kline.
No, he's a good actor. I'm totally
just because
on
he
it.
took Phoebe Cates away from all of us.
Oh, he married Phoebe Cates?
He married Phoebe Cates. Even though Phoebe Cates is probably on Social Security by now.
Do you know what
But
Phoebe Cates looks like today?
She probably still looks like a beautiful 50-something-year-old lady.
She's alright. She's very white. She looks almost.
And what's wrong with that?
She looks almost Japanese. No, she's just wearing like a lot of like powder.
She is. She's part Asian.
Is she? She's wearing a lot of powder. Phoebe Cates is 58 years old. She's part Asian, really?
Yeah. Somebody's Japanese there.
Her father is Joseph Katz.
Yeah.
AKA, I guess he changed it to Kate. Who is Lily? Okay.
Lily.
Her father and maternal grandmother were Russian Jewish. Oh, so she's a Jew.
Yeah.
And whereas her maternal grandfather was Chinese Filipino. Kate's mother was born in Shanghai. Interesting. So maybe one of her parents or grandparents was part of the, what's it called, the Mir? No?
Part of the Mir that they ended up in Shanghai, right? During the war.
Dude.
For the folks at home, there's a famous yeshiva in Brooklyn right now, which is
and in Yerushalayim.
like a derivative, and Israel. Well, Israel's that's the big one, right?
Yeah,
And then also, okay, so there was the original famous Mir Yeshiva was this Torah Scholarship Academy in, I believe it was Russia, probably Ukraine, more than likely.
Yeah.
And it was one of the like the mega centers of study, and then so they tried to survive World War II. So many of them, the staff, all the rabbis and the teachers, not all of them, but many of them, and the students, the families, a lot of them got to Shanghai, thank God, during the war. And then, actually, when I was living on Coney Island Avenue U, growing up, when I first started becoming religious, my local shul was Agudat Israel, which is between, it was on Coney Island Avenue, between Avenue S and Avenue R, I believe. And the rabbi there, Rabbi Eliezer Ginsburg, he's the grandson of the famous Gadol, Rabbi Levinstein. And he was actually born in Shanghai.
Well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where they went. Learn something new every day. Speaking of yeshiva, our friend Rahel wrote that with regards to the whole punishment of evil people, Rabbi Kessin says that unlike Egypt, when the Jews' test was to endure the bondage and slavery, the test today in Be'ita is to simply to have emunah.
So, Be'ita is in our time.
Yeah, so the conversation here was pertinent to that. The phenomenon of COVID taught many to have emunah. For others, it taught bitachon. We can wonder what's the next catalyst for those who still aren't quite there yet. Oh, so it's not to do with just emunah. It's not. Interesting. Next catalyst.
I've heard Rabbi Kessin say that. He's like, all we got to do is just hang on somehow.
Yeah. I don't know. I have a friend who agrees with me, but just because he wanted to go to Israel, he took 3. And then he posted that he was pissed off that Israel removed all the restrictions. And I wrote to him, I'm like, openly on his wall, I was like, dude, the whole point of this whole thing was to outlast these people. They're gonna do everything short of what is it called? Everything short of pinning you down on the ground and forcefully, putting stuff in you. And they know if they try to do that, they're gonna get shot in the face. Stop. Like,
oh god,
it's not even a question. So, the key is just to do, like you say, do nothing. Like my mother asked me, she's like, what do you suggest we do? I said, do nothing. Nothing further, Your Honor. No
Literally
further
nothing,
movement, Your Honor.
Just breathe.
What is it? Sorry.
I was just saying, like, don't do anything. Just breathe. Don't move.
Yeah.
Don't put anything in your body.
Yeah.
Certainly through syringes.
Yeah.
Okay. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's liven this up somehow. How shall we? Hey, my brother was nice enough to repost
what
my comment about Musk.
Oh,
He posted.
Where did he post
on social media?
See, the thing is, I can't be on True Social because I have an Android, so
yeah,
I'm turned off to this whole situation.
Well, I think he just did it on Getter, which is fine.
Yeah.
I only because I have more followers on Getter, but so he posted something. There was a Rumble video. It says Elon Musk, Grimes, the mother of Musk's 2 children, says we are becoming cyborgs. Whatever. I never even heard. Have you ever heard of any of her music? Grimes. Does she make music? What does she do?
Yeah. Just 1 second. I'll show you. I'll show you what her music is. I'll show you what it sounds like here.
What do you do? What do you do around here?
Here. Grimes.
Do you do something?
This is one of her main. She's like experimental music, I don't know what her experiments are leading to, but here's the it's like if you want to say I'm experimental, but the whole point is that an experiment is meant to there's to be purpose to the experiment, unless it's just She actually went on Lex Friedman and she said, what did she say?
He said, who do you want to be? If you could be anybody, if you can get into their head, who would you be?
Oh yeah, she said Hitler and Stalin.
Hitler and Stalin. That's because then she said, I just want to know what it's like to have those feelings and thoughts. And then she's like, and then she realized what that sounded like for a second. She's like, all in the effort to prevent it.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I don't think so. I don't think she wants to prevent it.
What a freaking... Here, this is her song. Her latest song.
What is that? What are we
It's
listening
noise.
to? That's for music?
Yeah. The key is not the music, the key is the video.
Well, I don't see the video. I probably shouldn't.
What?
I don't want to.
No, she turned herself into some freaking. What do they call the woman that comes succubus creature?
Yeah, I don't need.
That's literally what literally what she looks like in this video. I'm not even gonna watch this crap.
Don't watch this. It has some kind of archetype programming effect.
What?
It has some kind of archetype programming effect
that
messes with your subconscious. So it's sort of like, even if you tell yourself, no, I realize that they're trying to do something, I don't know if that necessarily prevents it from happening.
It doesn't prevent. Dude, there's another video, same story. No, and if you call, here's the thing, if you come to most people and you say, call this out, and be like, oh, like half the people will say, yeah, man, I really see the symbolism, what you're talking about, yeah, that's pretty, legit, whatever, and the other half of the people will be like, yo, why you gotta be a hater? I had friends, literally, one of them why you gotta be hating?
Dude, you gotta read...
The airline guy,
Yeah, can I read you? No, based on what you just said.
Yeah.
Here, so in response to what my brother posted, I wrote, hey, brother, the true litmus test for the quote-unquote new Twitter was keeping you on their platform. They failed. Musk can't be trusted. He was sent in to replace Gates as the face man of the WEF, World Economic Forum, and associates. I'm sure it was just a coincidence that he tries to prop up Twitter as it's tanking. Right when Trump is getting Truth Social going. That's what I wrote. I'm not telling you gotta buy into that. That's how I feel. That's really what I think. So then you get all these comments, right? And like Musk, and then he's like, Musk is more trusted than you are. We have two social media that allows freedom of speech.
Musk is what? Musk have what?
I'm sorry, I couldn't help doing the voice.
Oh, okay, no, I just didn't even understand what the word you said.
I was like, okay, I'll try to stop the mocking. I can't. Okay, Musk is more trusted than you are. We have two social media that allows freedom of speech. He was not sent in to replace Gates. That is a lie. Twitter was already going downhill. Twitter was suspending conservatives every day. I mean, some of these people, they don't even think before they respond. They're just emotional baboons.
Yeah.
Musk hasn't even had time to hang his hat yet. Give him a chance. After hundreds of thousands of children are stuck with needles full of death schmaxine, right? Yeah. Let's give him a chance for him to do something in 6 months. That's complete BS. Okay, he definitely has the ability to do something now.
Do you know how we know these people are at the very least dumb shits, if not completely malicious? Here's a tweet. Here's a tweet from one of the Vice, one of these Vice outlets called Motherboard. In 2021, September 21. Joe Rogan has recovered from Schmovid and used his first show back to spread misinformation about the horse deworming drug he took. Now here's a tweet from today. Misoprostol is relatively easy to acquire from veterinary sources, since in addition to medically inducing abortions, it also used to treat ulcers in horses. So basically they're saying there's a drug that can be repurposed. And all these people are like, oh, but it's not nearly the same thing.
Wait, back up. I feel like I missed something.
They wrote garbage about Joe Rogan for using ivermectin.
I actually didn't hear the Joe Rogan part.
They said Rogan has recovered from Schmovid and used his first show back to spread misinformation about the horse deworming drug he took. They're obviously referring to ivermectin. This is back in September. Today they write, misoprostol is relatively easy to acquire from veterinary sources, since in addition to medically inducing abortions, it's also used to treat ulcers in horses. So now these pricks are getting a taste of their own freaking medicine. That they're going to have to go on the third market or secondary market to get some drug that has another purpose. But they're admitting that their drugs, veterinary drugs for animals, can be repurposed for humans, for whatever you want. In this case, it's to induce an abortion. And I wonder, is the FDA gonna take, are pharmacists gonna stop prescribing these drugs? Are doctors gonna not prescribe? Is the FDA gonna instruct doctors to not prescribe it to induce abortions? I wonder. Just like they instructed all the whole medical profession to not prescribe HCQ. I wonder. These people are a septic tank. They got more shit than a septic tank, you know?
That's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot, right?
Yeah.
Oy, I don't know, man. What did you think of our show today, by the way, with the Jerusalem guy?
Well, I was kind of trying to rewatch some of it, and I found that not a very pleasant experience.
Really?
Watching myself on camera. I had to get used to listening to myself, which was not easy. Now, watching myself, that's already a new level.
Dude, you know how I know it might get taken down from the YouTube?
Because
it has 30 views already in 2 hours.
Can I ask you a question? How many, like, what, was that live on some platform?
It was just Zoom, and there were 20 people watching us on Zoom. That's it.
Okay, so 20 people. So did he post it yet? I'm just curious.
He posted it on his Rumble channel. Yes, correct.
On his Rumble, all right. Does he get a lot of views?
He gets, depending on what. The thing is, the titles of the videos are very like busy. Oh, here you go. Hold on, 1 second. They're very busy, and the thing is, he didn't even he just titled it. He didn't even say who's the guests were in this particular. I don't quite know why.
Is it Root and Branch or Roots and Branch?
It's his channel, Lowell Joseph Gallon, but then you have like R&B Medical Fellowship that were the latest episode. But the thing is that he didn't title it properly. He just titled it like.
So which channel is it on Rumble?
Here, I'll send it to you. I sent it to you.
No, because okay.
It's on Lowell Joseph Gallon. I sent you the channel just now. We actually my Rumble has more subscribers than he does, actually.
Right, we just got to figure out how to get people to look at it because there's no algorithm, right?
No, not really. But you know what? I'm gonna post right now. We'll figure it out. Let's see. Truth Fanatics. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna download this particular.
It doesn't say any views.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's just maybe it'll show up later. I'm not sure. I don't know. That's the thing, man. It's like, unless they figure out how to, jack up their algorithm, this is just going to be like, it's not going to be anything crazy, let's put it that way. It's not going to help. I don't know. I'm just waiting for Truth Social to come out for Android, and then we could really rock it. Like, I really think we can rock it.
Just go get an iPhone.
Let me go pay $1,000. Just so.
No, can you cancel your Android plan and then just sign up for?
I know what I'm going to do probably is because I have to upgrade no matter what before June. Actually, I have to do it now. So when we go do that. I'll probably just get an iPhone, yeah. Here, T-Mobile.
So this could be done, now.
Yeah, it could be done now, yes. Yes, it can.
I'm looking at Rumble. I want to see who has the most popular, who has the most amount of views, the most popular channels on Rumble. Okay. Let me see. There's probably trending or something like that, right? Like, God, I suck at. Okay. Let's see. All right. Let's say Dan Bongino, right? Does he have one like a good? Let's see. Oh yeah, Russell Brand. Let's see if this guy should. He has 33,566 views in his latest video.
Mm-hmm.
And he has 408,000 subscribers.
Wow. So yeah, that guy said, why can't, there was a guy who said, why can't Dan Bongino and a bunch of these guys conduct military operations and just, take out whoever needs to be taken out? Why are they allowing this to happen,
Oh yeah, remember I was saying about the people, like God put us to sleep, like he did King Saul and his men and David, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why was that, why did God do that, right? And why did God do it to us?
Yeah.
I never got to the point. The point was because of our behavior, right? Yeah. Like, avitus, right?
Avitus.
Averot, sins, right? Because of our misdeeds. Yeah. That's why. So the more misdeeds we do, the more power we give them to do this to us, essentially.
Yeah.
I'm not advocating for the system, but I'm just stating it for what it is. That seems to be the system that we're living in.
Yeah.
Can I read you something?
Yeah, please.
This is a little exchange I had with somebody on social media, and it's just kind of a very odd mindset. And I have my suspicions as to what causes this type of behavior, but maybe you could help me.
Mm-hmm.
So remember that I sent you that thing about the rain, right, in the month of VR.
Yeah.
So let me just read that. So this is what I posted on social media. The rain that falls in this Hebrew month of VR is actually medicine. Sounds crazy, right? Well, check this out. No need to get drenched. Just a few drops will do the job. Okay, so this comes from the famous 18th century Hasidic Rebbe, Rabbi Pinchas of Koretz, who was a student of the Baal Shem Tov, and he writes this in his book, Nofet Tzufim. Okay? And it says that rain, which falls after the Jewish holiday of Pesach until the holiday of Shavuot, constitutes a great remedy for all illness and disease. There's no medicine like it to be found in any pharmacy. One must stand in the rain, expose his head to the rain, and also open his mouth to let the rain fall on the right side of his mouth. Seemingly tilt your head back and to the right. Okay, fine. Obviously, this is a religious sentiment. Okay, so there's somebody that I frequently, like, who frequently responds to my post, and I try to do it. So he writes this: "Come on, man." So I wrote, "Come on, what?" And then he writes, "You know the thing. Don't make me do push-ups on you, man."
Hell.
So I'm like, "The hell you talking about?" LOL. I'm an Orthodox Jew.
Yeah.
I know the Torah was written by the creator of the universe. In it, he communicated his will, as well as information about every detail of his creation. The information is infinitely layered in mathematical and phonetic code. The Torah talks about spiritual realities that are somewhat close to some aspects of the simulation theory. In other words, the universe itself was created as the most sophisticated holodeck-like computer, straight from the beginning. That's how it was by default. It was created complete with a usable programming language and various interfaces. The interfaces being thought, speech, and physical action. You don't have to agree with that, but don't give me the Joe Biden "come on, man" routine. So then he responds something so he writes, "Hierarchical temporal memory of a functional neural network within holonomic brain theory." I suppose that's the long-winded technical name of the simulation theory.
Okay.
And then he's like, which is the third age, according to Joaquin de Fiori. Okay. And then he's like, obviously I was joking around. Of course I don't believe in magic rain, but everything else is correct. The universe is a black hole, which is a giant quantum computer. This already known via what we currently know of quantum gravity theory.
Okay.
Black holes are enormous quantum computers. Computing what? This. This is what they compute, universes.
Okay.
They are like an infinite number of, there are likely an infinite number of them, and all make up the mind of God, which is composed of these universes, and all the information flows upward to the infinite mind. Okay, I'm not sure about that. It is quite interesting and likely inspired that Stone Age and Bronze Age people worked that out, at least as they could communicate it so long ago. Now we're getting to truly understand it, and men will have the knowledge of angels. That's a quote. I don't recall. I'm not exactly sure where it's from. It sounds like some kind of scripture. Okay, so I respond to him. I was like, in Torah thought, nothing is really magical. The magic rain that you like, as you say, is part of the interface. And then he writes, yeah, pretty sure that's not a thing. glitch in the matrix or otherwise. Just because some rabbi said it, don't make it real. So I was like, right, that's not why it's real. Don't build a straw man.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I did say nobody is coercing you to believe.
Yeah.
Right? I was like, I don't know why I can't let this go. Right?
Yeah.
So then he writes, this is just the beginning of it. It's far more complex. Hierarchical temporal memory, holonomic brain theory. There's much more to it. Kaufman, dynamic evolutionary mathematics, identical to a functional neural network. Origins of order, page 233 to 290. Mathematical evolution in NK Boolean networks, which represent genetic biological evolution in state space. Evolution and design are mathematically identical. Okay. This is proved mathematically. Okay, fine. Then he gives me this post that says entanglement and complexity, gravity, and quantum mechanics. Fine. So then he writes, I just don't think that rain has any powers. Listen to that. We're almost at the end. You following this?
Yes.
Okay, so he writes, I just don't think that rain has any powers. I do agree that there is a lot in the Torah and also other ancient texts which are very strange with regard to knowing what we are beginning to understand just now. I have a whole cosmogony about it. Cosmogony. Black holes are quantum computers. Black holes in our own universe are baby universes. Okay. They compute this holographic space-time reality. It gets more complex when you start to work out the actual math and scientific reality of it. Mm-hmm. But it still is the same to many of these texts, which is weird. Can some people see through the matrix and see God? Maybe. It's super weird for sure that they got so much of this right without quantum theory or general relativity for sure. So I just responded to the part where he says, I just don't think the rain has any powers, right? Mm-hmm. So here's my final response. I said, I just don't think the rain has any powers. This is me responding to him. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was like, you sound like Gene Wilder in The Frisco Kid. Yeah. And then I quoted that whole exchange he had with the Indian chief. Yeah. Chief Grey Cloud says, in reference to Avram's God, right? Yeah. Gene Wilder's character. What does he do, this God of yours? Avram, Gene Wilder. He can do anything, Chief Grey Cloud. Then why can't he make rain? Yeah. Avram. Because he doesn't make rain. Remember that?
Yeah, the whole scene.
Right. He gives us strength.
Dude, I'm gonna simplify your life right now. Let's.
You're just gonna play it.
Just gonna play it.
And you're not gonna let me bomb doing my Gene Wilder routine.
Dancing. Nice does not make rain. Yes or no? Can your God make rain? Yes. But he doesn't.
That's right.
Why?
Because that's not his department.
But if he wanted to, he could?
Yes.
What kind of a God do you have?
Don't say my God. He's your God too.
Don't give him to us. We have enough troubles with our own God.
But there's only one God.
What does he do?
He can do anything.
Then why can't he make rain?
Because he doesn't make rain. He gives us strength when we're suffering. He gives us compassion when all that we feel is hatred. He gives us courage when we're searching around blindly like little mice in the darkness. But he does not make rain.
By the way, dude, that's for you.
That's
Remember
what?
we were talking about how. Remember we were talking about how, like, if you know how, if you make a relationship, create a relationship with the boss, then he'll send you the Rebbe's daughter, right? Yeah. That kind of reminded me of that.
So listen, because I want people to hear the punchline.
Of course. Sometimes just like that, he'll change his mind.
That's true.
That is true. The Gzeira can change. Do you want to hear what Rachel also wrote just now?
Sure.
Agreeing with Frank that intervention will be supernatural because everything's had that flavor since 2020. The stolen Schmelection should have been overturned due to a deluge of evidence proving it had been stolen, but it wasn't overturned. Why not? God needed Biden. Similarly, the medical establishment should have resisted, but just like judges, legislators, senators got sucked into a haunted realm of paralysis and stupefaction, so did the medical establishment, for the most part. This is what was called for by the boss. It has been exceedingly eerie, supernatural.
Yeah, it's supernaturally horrible.
Yeah, horrible.
It's more horrible than Teva. she's right. So why can't it just go? Why, if he's going to do that in terms of helping evil,
maybe
succeed,
we just
right?
need to wait. Hopefully, not too much longer. That's all I'm saying. That's the only thing I could say. Because it has to be the diametrical opposite, miraculous in the good way as it is Twilight Zone in the horrible way. You know what I'm saying? Hashem can like his system requires that. You know what I mean? It's going to require, at the very least, again, at the very least, people at least fessing up or something, to be revealed. And at best, some kind of schmick-mack, knickknacks, paddywhacks. Give a dog a bone,
Yep.
He's going to have to do it. He has to do it. He doesn't have a choice. He already... Listen, man, he already... He obviously had to... Was that you that said it? Somebody else said it. He had to bribe the Satan. Somebody wrote on our wall that the whole hop of the... one second. The whole hop of the secular Jews founding the state of Israel. What was that? That essentially was... Here, this is what this guy wrote.
That was Leia, right?
Yes, I'm just looking for the damn thing. I cannot find it. 1 second. And it's making me upset. 1 second. Oh, here we go. Israel was founded in this way to confound the Satan, or bribe him. For the same reason the Mashiach comes from Ruth and Tamar. Imagine Hashem saying to him, don't worry, it will never be religious people. She just misspelled it. Let Israel be established. Now in a few years, finally the religious will outnumber the rest. Yeah, it's true. This guy, I was going to read to you a tweet actually from this guy that basically in very short period of time, about at least a fourth of Israel, a fourth of all Jews are going to be ultra-Orthodox, whatever that word means, Yeah, I mean, they can say whatever they want, they can worry or whatever they want, but you understand that this is why they had to do this with this Shmek scene. That was another reason. They had to start with us, And they had to...
What do you mean by that?
No, I'm saying they saw what's going on with the exploding population in the Frum community in Israel.
That's why they started with the Frum community.
That's why they started with Israel, and specifically they targeted... Modern Orthodox. Modern Orthodox also have a lot of kids, man.
Also, it's not. I suppose based on what you said, therefore, it's not so crazy to think that has something to do with the fact that the first major outbreak was, in my brother's community.
Yeah.
First major outbreak in America.
Yeah.
Was his community.
Yeah. That could be.
There's a lot of closely knit communities that are very populated. Any block in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Okay. So
these were for sure things that were by design, and they had to do this. They see what's coming, man. They see that the majority of Israel is at the very least Masorti, traditional, if not Oh my God. I don't know if it's probably not a real tweet from Elon Musk. I think it's a parody. Next time I'm buying Pornhub and making sure the plumber fixes the sink.
That's probably something he said. That sounds like something. Hey, can you go? Can I just point something out? I want you to look at something. Can you go to Getter?
1 second. Yes, I'm going to Getter. Getter. Oh, I need to log in. Un momento.
All right.
Cha. Log in. Username. Yes. Okay, I'm in.
Okay, so can you go to my brother's?
All right, I'm on his page.
I hope it's worth it, what I'm about to tell you.
Okay.
Taking you on this journey.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so scroll down until you see that link that he posted, the Rumble one, where it says Elon Musk, Grimes, the mother of Musk's 2 children. We are. And then kind of.
Hold on. No, there's one.
It was
that says,
posted
here you go.
17 hours ago.
We are. Yeah. She said that we are becoming. Yeah. She said homo techno. He called people homo techno.
So I'd like to bring your attention. Do you see that?
Yeah.
In the thumbnail, do you see like that picture of Elon Musk?
It's crazy.
With that stupid look on his face?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the essence of who he is.
Yeah.
If I had to think of a certain image based on who this guy is and the facial expression which represents it, that's who this guy is.
It's like I'm messing with you, basically.
Yes. So who is he? Let's fit him into the archetypes. He's the trickster. Okay? That's his most external well, actually no. His most external is creator, like the inventor, the creator archetype. Yeah. And also he tries to be the sage archetype and the magician. Yeah. But really, he's actually the trickster. Yeah. Okay? And that's not a good thing. The trickster shouldn't be the core of your essence. Yeah. You could adopt some of the trickster's comedic characteristics, in the pursuit of, while you're being a hero or a sage, but not the other way around.
Do you want to listen to Grimes? It's just a 6-minute clip.
6 minutes? I don't think I can. No.
Actually, no,
okay,
it's not
fine,
6 minutes. It's like 2 minutes. I'm sorry. It's like 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
2 minutes you can stomach, right? Or 1.5 minutes, something like that.
All right.
Hold on. Let me go to where it begins at her portion. A second. And reversing aging, blah, blah, blah. That's Elon talking about reversing aging. Wonderful. Right DNA sequence. Fantastic.
Main caterpillars do it.
Okay.
We can choose our own evolution. We can change the way our brains work. And so we actually have a huge responsibility to do that.
Allowing them to control a computer or a phone just using their mind.
It's like if you look at Silicon Valley and you look at like whatever the technocracy, like what's been happening there. Like it's like when Silicon Valley started, it was all just like Facebook.
Dude, can I just say she looks like she's from another freaking planet?
Dude, she looks like a girl that we grew up with in Brooklyn.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay? Who has done a lot of drugs.
Yeah.
Okay? And is in therapy.
Yeah.
Very skinny.
Yeah.
Coked out girl in therapy. We're not talking about a particular girl, folks at home. We're just talking about a type of girl.
It's a prototype, yeah. She's momish. Like I don't even know what she's wearing.
She looks like she looks kind of like a messed up college girl.
Yeah. Yeah, let's continue listening.
And all this like for-profit crap that like really wasn't particular. I guess it was useful, but it's sort of just like whatever. But like now you see like lab-grown meat.
In places like Silicon Valley.
That's it. Now you get this one. You know when I see people talk when they say the phrase "for-profit crap"? It's one thing if you say "for-profit crap," the phrase, and you are poor. And you put your non-money where your mouth is, right? But if you say for-profit crap,
who's she referring to?
Yeah, I don't know. She's a wealthy person. What the flip is she talking about?
The for-profit crap. What is she talking about?
I don't know. She's talking about like food, mass-produced food. I don't know. I don't know what she's talking. Nobody knows what they're talking about. Nobody knows, and yet we do know. Oh, here you go. Oh, whatever. This we already saw. Schmob. I just want to see maybe there's something else interesting here. Yeah, there's a lot of Yuval over here. Oh, here you go. More crap from this alien. Hold on. This is Schwab talking. This guy just looks like he knows he's going to Gehenna. You know?
Like, I keep thinking about motherhood, how under capitalism, it's like this extremely essential job that is very difficult, that is not compensated, and we sort of like value things by how much we compensate them, and so we really devalue motherhood in our society and pretty much all societies. Like, capitalism does not recognize motherhood. It's just a job that you're supposed to do for free. And it's like, but I feel like producing great humans should be seen as a great, as profit under capitalism. Like, that's like a huge social good. Like, every awesome human that gets made adds so much to the world. So, like, if that was integrated into the profit,
what about non-awesome humans?
Can I just say, no, like, the Sitrocker gets it first, man. I've heard this idea in yeshiva. I really have. But it's a completely different...
What happens if you don't produce an awesome human? You try.
I don't know.
What happens to that human? What happens to you?
I don't know. Dude,
I think we both know.
Dude, can I tell you something? She wrote a song, her latest song is entitled Shinigami Eyes. You know what Shinigami are?
I don't know, but it sounds Japanese.
Shinigami, yeah, it's Japanese. Literally translated as death god. Are gods or supernatural spirits that invite humans toward death in certain aspects of Japanese religion and culture. Shinigami have been described as monsters, helpers, and creatures of darkness. Shinigami are used for tales and religions in Japanese culture. In Buddhism, there is the Mara that is concerned with death, the Mrityu Mara. It is a demon that makes humans want to die, and it is said that upon being possessed by it in a shock, one should suddenly want to die by suicide, so it is sometimes explained to be a Shinigami. Do that. Why do you think... Now I'm realizing why Japan has such a crazy suicide rate. Also in the Yogacara Bhumi Sastra, a writing on the Yogacara, a demon decided the time of people's deaths. Yama, the king of the underworld, as well as Oni, such as the ox head and the horse face, are also considered a type of Shinigami. In Shinto, Japanese mythology, Izanami gave humans death, so Izanami is sometimes seen as a Shinigami. However, Izanami and Yama are also thought to be different from the death gods in Western mythology. Some forms of Buddhism do not involve believing in any deities, so it is sometimes thought that the concept of a death god does not exist to begin with. Even though the Kijin and Onryo of Japanese Buddhist faith have taken humans' lives, there is the opinion that there is no death god that merely leads people into the world of the dead. After the war, however, the Western notion of a death god entered Japan, and Shinigami started to become mentioned as an existence with a human nature. Generally, the word Shinigami does not appear to be used in Japanese classical literature, and there are not many writings about them, but going into the Edo period, the word Shinigami can be seen as in Chikamatsu Monzaimon's works of Ningyo Jururi, I don't know any of this, and classical literature that has themes on double suicides.
Can I just?
Yeah.
I want to say something before I forget this.
Yeah.
I watched this remarkable thing yesterday on YouTube. I don't know how it ended up in my feed, but it says Samurai Master rates scenes in films and stuff having to do with samurai, like so some of the stuff he was rating was like awesome samurai movies, like Imbo and Sanjuro, the Kurosawa stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then they showed him like Kill Bill.
Yeah.
And then they showed him like The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
It's hilarious.
So Tom Hanks, last black man on earth. All right, so remember like Mooney, right? So he was saying it was amazing as he was rating it. It's a rating from 1 to 10.
Yeah.
He literally could not be rude or critical to anything that he was seeing. He was desperately grasping for anything positive that he would see.
Yeah.
They showed him Kill Bill.
Yeah.
When she's having that, he was like, oh, that was very nicely executed. And that's very difficult to achieve such a cut.
Yeah.
It was absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
This is a man he's an elderly guy.
Okay.
He could not. Was committed to not saying anything mean or critical, and only to point out whatever he could find that was positive. I just thought that was amazing.
Yeah. Now try getting Russians to do that.
Everybody, forget Russians, literally, and so this is like a series, like rate expert, this expert rates this expert rates that. All of them were just like brutal. They're like, oh, that sucked. No, that's unrealistic. So this guy is from another world. You know what I mean? And like, I never saw it play out in like real life, okay? But you know, like the situation with Yitzhak and Esav, right? And Yaakov and Rivka.
Yeah.
Why was it necessary to create that whole, you know, ruse, right? To make Yaakov pretend to be Esav, right?
Yeah.
And why was it such a huge? How come Yitzhak didn't know? Why didn't somebody come up and say that about Esav to his father, right?
Yeah.
That's how much they were scared of Lashon Hara.
Yeah.
In that time, like they would do anything to avoid. Lashon Hara was like getting sprayed with a skunk.
Yeah.
Even worse, you know what I mean? Like it's like walking into a patch of poison oak and getting sprayed. It was just the most repulsive possible thing. They couldn't engage in it to a fault.
Yeah.
And that's what it was like. Like I thought about that.
To the point of
about that whole situation, and then I saw this guy behave that way.
Yeah.
I just thought that was something
to the point
noteworthy.
To the point where any person who calls out Lashon Hara can be mistaken for a woke snowflake. It can be called sensitive and woke snowflake. I've had that happen to me.
What do you mean?
I've had that happen to me. I'm not gonna get into it.
Meaning, you pointed out someone else doing Lashon Hara?
I pointed out that a person is either saying Lashon Hara or a person is saying something, you know, repeatedly saying something like a critique of something, like over and over and again. And I'm called sensitive and snowflake and this and that and the other.
I'm sure there's others who would say that all we do is Lashon Hara, right? That's the other side.
Yeah.
So I want to, while we're on this, I just Googled Lashon Hara.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So we have Torah.org, right? Seems straightforward. Okay? What is Lashon Hara? Do you mind if I read this a little bit?
Please, yeah.
Okay. The definition of Lashon Hara. Okay. Lashon Hara is any derogatory or damaging statement against an individual. In Hilchot Deot, chapter 7, verse 5, the Rambam supplies a litmus test for determining whether something is or isn't Lashon Hara. So he says, anything which, if it would be publicized, would cause the subject physical or monetary damage, or would cause him anguish or fear. That's Lashon Hara. I'll repeat that again.
Yeah.
According to the Rambam, Lashon Hara is anything that, if it were publicized, would cause the person monetary damage or physical damage.
Mm-hmm.
Like it would cost him money, or he won't get a job, or his business partner leaves, or people won't want to come to his store, right? Or you incite something against someone that makes people angry at him, and that makes people want to attack him. Okay? And also, whatever you say publicly would cause the person anguish, which is kind of pretty general, or fear. So, that's Lashon Hara. Okay, let's continue. Commandments regarding Lashon Hara. There are many commandments, positive and negative, which can be violated when someone speaks Lashon Hara. 2 negative and 2 positive examples I'm about to read 2 examples of each. So in Leviticus, chapter 19, that's Vayikra, chapter 19, verse 15, it says, Lo telech rachil ba'amecha. Do not go about as a talebearer among your people. Okay, this is the basic prohibition against speaking Lashon Hara. And then number 2, again in Leviticus, in the pasuk right before that one, pasuk chapter 19, verse 14, it says, Lifnei iver lo titen mishpol. Do not place a stumbling block before the blind, which is one who involves himself in Lashon Hara, is helping others to violate the prohibition as well, because they listen to it or they participate in it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 9, it says, Zachor et asher asa elokecha le Miriam. Remember that what God did to Miriam, when Miriam spoke negatively against her brother Moses, she was afflicted with Tza'arat, leprosy, which is amazing. She didn't even speak negative against him. But, okay, and then again we have in Leviticus chapter 19, verse 18, it says, Va'ahavta l're'echa kamocha. Love your neighbor as yourself. This is the source of the do unto others rule, that we should treat others the way we would want to be treated. Okay, so here's Lashon Hara guidelines.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear my robot in the background?
No.
Okay, good. It's Lashon Hara, even if it's true. It's Lashon Hara, even if a listener pressures the speaker to tell. It's Lashon Hara, even if names are left out. It's Lashon Hara, even if it's about the speaker's family. Also, it's Lashon Hara if the speaker includes himself in the derogatory description. Like Lashon Hara expresses itself in many forms. Lashon Hara can be factual, such as stating that someone violated a commandment, or it can be subjective, such as discussing whether someone is intelligent, attractive, generous. Wow, I didn't know that. Even like even something good is Lashon Hara?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I had no idea. I thought saying something nice about someone who's nice. Okay. This is getting a little. I'm not sure if this is.
No, dude. It's
okay.
Yeah. Believe me, yeah.
So this type is often worse. Oh, he's saying, listen to this.
Mm-hmm.
He's saying this type is often worse, meaning to say something. Okay. Since listeners often readily accept an unverifiable opinion.
Yes, correct.
Sometimes whether something is Lashon Hara depends on the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like reporting that someone gave a certain amount for a donation can be derogatory when said about a wealthy person, but positive when applied to one who has lesser means. Meaning, if he gave $1,000 and he's, making $50,000 a year, and you say that he gave $1,000, it's like, oh, that's very generous of him, right? But if a billionaire gives $1,000, it's like, what a cheapskate.
Mm-hmm.
So some kinds of statements are not about individuals explicitly, but are Lashon Hara nonetheless. Insulting someone's possessions ultimately insults another as well.
Mm-hmm.
Degrading groups of people reflects unfavorably upon each member of the group.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't even have to be speech. So any means of communicating derogatory or damaging information falls under the definition of Lashon Hara.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it would seem that it's like literally impossible to communicate about anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't understand how people can function under these guidelines. Okay. Continuing. Avak Lashon Hara. Some statements are not outright Lashon Hara, but can imply Lashon Hara or cause others to speak it. These statements constitute Avak Lashon Hara, meaning traces of Lashon Hara. Some examples are praise. In situations which inevitably provoke someone to contradict the praise, such as in excess, or in front of the subject's enemy, or in public, right? That makes sense. If you say something nice about someone that they don't like, they're gonna, right? So that leads to harm, such as recounting someone's generous character when a listener might take advantage of the subject's goodwill. Fine. And then the negative implications. But who would believe that he used to be like this? Or don't ask me about what happened with this guy. Listening. Okay, so here's listening to or believing Lashon Hara. It is forbidden to accept or believe Lashon Hara. And by listening to it, one might cause himself to believe it. by participating in a session of Lashon Hara, the listener would be assisted that other participants to commit the sins of speaking and believing the Lashon Hara. So believing Lashon Hara is forbidden. Is forbidden regardless of the subject.
Yeah.
Okay? And regardless of the speaker, teacher, parent, only if the subject is known to commit certain sins. Finally. Only, because you can't say all this stuff and then not give some tips as to how to, go about
how to not die in a minefield.
Yeah. Only if the subject is known to commit certain sins or have other problems, it might be permissible to believe it. In any case, someone can suspect that the Lashon Hara might be true, such that the listener should take precautions to protect himself from harm. If information against someone might be of benefit to another, potential business partner, roommate, it is permissible for that person to listen to it. The listener should state why he is listening to the information, so that the speaker realizes that the intentions of the listener are constructive, and also so that the speaker doesn't intend to speak for non-constructive reasons. However, the listener is forbidden from 1. Accepting the information as true. He may only suspect and investigate, or he's not allowed to take action against the subject based on the information. If caught in a group of people who are speaking Lashon Hara, one should try and leave the group or change the topic. If you're stuck there, then 1, decide in one's heart mind not to accept the Lashon Hara as true. 2, do not enjoy the Lashon Hara because the subject is being shamed. It's not a funny story, etc. 3, do not pretend to agree or accept the Lashon Hara. Make a face, don't make eye contact, or at least wear a blank expression.
Dude, can I tell you something? When I came to visit my family in the summer 10 years ago, after I was in yeshiva for basically 5 months, and I was spending time around Russians, I couldn't. You know what I was? I realized afterwards what I was. I didn't know that that's what I was. I was basically like, what's his name? The Ari, right? The one that came out of the cave. He wanted to burn everything.
Oh, the Rajbi.
I'm sorry, Shem Bar Yochai.
I know exactly how you feel.
I wanted to burn everyone. Everyone. Dude, I couldn't be around it. And you realize how frivolous people are with their words. And if you call it out, for example, some women will say, in Russian, they'll say, "Ну это же женщины. Женщины делают сплетни." The women gossip all the time, I've said. And I say, not all women. Not all. Yeah, there are women even in the film world who gossip like chickens. You ever see the movie Chicken Run? With Mel Gibson does the voice of the rooster?
I don't think so.
Whatever, there's a bunch of these chickens in the chicken coop that are just like, just like sitting there, pardon my language, you know what I'm talking about. The bukvu pe. In Russian we say.
Yeah.
I don't want to say the word even in Russian. So yeah, man. And people justify their behavior. They don't understand. If they only understood that this, as Mizrahi would say, if they only knew that first and foremost it hurt them more than the person they're talking about, they would lose their mind. They're only hurting themselves.
Let's not talk about them.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Let's talk about
us for a second.
Yeah, I'm not absolved of this.
No.
By the way.
So it would seem that from a cursory reading of this, did I use the word cursory correct?
Yes. Correct.
Okay. Literally nothing is allowed.
Yes.
No shtick, no nothing. I don't understand
how
how
shtick
this
is
is
allowed. Why not? Why is shtick not allowed?
Because shtick is always at the expense of someone.
No, but it's not like...
Whether it's yourself, right? You can't even be self-deprecating. I don't understand.
Well, I'll tell you something, man. I remember when I got to yeshiva, it was particularly in my yeshiva, these guys, the guys who were in my yeshiva, did not take kindly to any shtick also self-deprecate. There was like no shtick whatsoever. And the funny part is that we somehow had Purim spiels. That was the only time I ever saw shtick from anybody during the Purim spiels. And people actually laughed, but it was just so weird because like you could see the guys sitting there and they're just kind of like, they're laughing, but they're wondering like, am I allowed to laugh? Like they're waiting for permission from somebody or somebody to give them permission to laugh at whatever they're looking at.
You know, this kind of article that I was like unfortunate enough to fall upon.
Is this a Litvak?
This is like somewhat criminal.
Yeah.
Because you can't do this and then not teach somebody how to go about this.
Yeah.
Okay? If I think back to the stories that I heard, right? Mm-hmm. From the rabbis that I respect, mm-hmm. right? That I know act correctly, that I know that they know that Lashon Hara is bad. Mm-hmm. But they tell stories, and the story has a protagonist and an antagonist.
Yeah.
Isn't portraying someone as an antagonist Lashon Hara? You know what I mean? Like I don't
know. I mean, no.
Based on what we read, that would seem to be the case.
No, it really depends. It really depends if they're like hurting someone. Like if you're portraying like a real life situation.
Are we confident that everybody that we have criticized or people that are... I know that I would like to think that at least most of the people that we criticize are because they're hurting.
Listen, I mean, you look who we criticize. We're talking about Schmab, Mousy. We know for a fact that these people are...
I'm not concerned about them. Yeah. So mass murderers.
So who so what are you concerned about? And give me an example of what would be a toss-up? I mean, probably Musk would be a toss-up.
For instance, there are problems in the Jewish community, serious problems.
Yeah.
And we're trying to we're not talking about this for the sake of
we're trying to fix these problems.
Denigrating anyone. We want to know how to make it better.
Well, you know what people will tell us? You know what they would say to us? How to make it better? They say, instead of talking about these people and this and that, why don't you, whatever, open up this, some school or something or whatever it is.
And teach what?
I don't know. Or no, not a school. Just like, why don't... It's kind of like what the Rebbe used to say, whatever problem you see, that means Hashem put you in this world to fix that problem. That's what, it's kind of like essentially what the answer to that question is. Instead
I actually posted something. I think I saw Chris Woods, something on Facebook. I want to see if I can still find it.
Okay.
One second.
That's essentially what they would display. Lord.
What about therapy? Is therapy? Because this podcast for me is therapeutic.
Same. Yeah, man.
I don't actually trust real therapy.
Same. I also don't.
I can hear a voice. A voice says, "Well, you don't have to, record it and play it for the whole world."
Listen, man. Life is hard. What can we say? We can't be tzaddikim. I mean, we can if we really wanted to. Life is hard, Hashem wants a lot from us. Sometimes we can give it to him. Sometimes we can't.
All right. You know what? Let's resolve to at least be more delicate when speaking about the community which attempts to maintain Torah and its traditions.
Yes.
Right? But we did. Last time when we talked about it?
Yeah.
Right? The city of Ember metaphor.
Yeah.
That I don't believe that's Lashon Hara. I think that's sticking up for him.
Yeah, we're describing what it is. We're essentially explaining why. What is it? Why are you the way that you are? Why they are the way that they are, and that's it.
I found it.
Listen, usually, lashon hara or any kind of hatred comes when people are not understood. So when we seek to understand people or individuals or groups of people, that's essentially when we can change the situation.
I don't know, man.
Am I making sense?
What I just read, it makes sense, but what I just read really bummed me out because I don't know how to navigate around that. All that. I have to talk to someone.
I think the point is not to navigate around it. I gotta make sure
that's actually...
The point is not to navigate around it. The point is to just work on it as much as you can.
So, alright. So, here it is. Tikkun Olam, the repair of the world. If you see what needs to be repaired and how to repair it, then you have found a piece of the world that God has left for you to complete. But if you only see what is wrong and what is ugly in the world, then it is you yourself that needs repair. That's Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneer said. At least that quote somebody made, some kind of thing and put his name underneath it. But it certainly sounds like something he would say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bummer. All right. Let me see. Hold on. I didn't like this one. Let's look for another one. Right? I didn't like what this webpage says. Let's see what the reform.
Now you're doing this whole rabbi shopping,
Yeah. Just kidding.
That's exactly
all
what
right.
you're doing.
So here's something from Chabad.org. Let's see. Lashon hara, and this is from Parshat Bechalotecha. It says, when Miriam spoke negatively about her brother, she was rebuked by God and afflicted with the skin disease of Tzarat as a punishment. And due to Moses' prayers, she was cured soon after, but still needed to remain outside of the camp for 7 days. Aaron, who had listened to her negative speech without protesting, was also punished, but not as severely. Unfortunately, the spies who were sent soon afterwards to Israel did not take a lesson from the story, and they too spoke negatively about the land of Israel. The result was that Israelites of that generation, they all died in the desert. In fact, we find that Lashon Hara, negative talk, is a sin that has caused numerous tragedies for the Jewish people and indeed the world since the very beginning of history. There are some examples. You hear me, dude?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just heating up some food.
So we have, the Midrash tells us that the snake slandered God to Chava, to Eve, when convincing her to eat of the tree of knowledge. And then we have Joseph spoke negatively to his father, Jacob, about his brothers, causing them to hate him. This led to their selling him and ultimately caused the Egyptian exile. And then we have, at first, Moses wondered why the Jews deserved their difficult slavery in Egypt. When he heard that there were talebearers amongst them, he said that he then understood why they deserved this fate. And then we have the slander of Doeg, who was King Shaul's chief shepherd and the head of the Sanhedrin. And he caused the massacre of nearly an entire city of Kohanim. In fact, the armies of King Shaul lost their battles with the Philistines as a result of the slander that people spoke against King David. On the other hand, the armies of the notorious King Ahab were successful in their battles despite the fact that they were idolatrous, because they did not have the sin of Lashon Hara. I'm not sure how that's possible, but that's for another time. According to the Talmud, it was the slander of Jews by Jews that actually brought about the destruction of the Second Temple. So the laws of Lashon Hara are too lengthy to include in one article. In fact, Rabbi Yisrael Meir Cohen of Radin, that's a Chafetz Chaim, wrote an entire book about these laws. The book is called Chafetz Chaim, which caused the author to be known as the Chafetz Chaim too. The name is inspired by the verse in Psalms. Whoever of you desires life, Chafetz Chaim, guard your tongue from evil. Nevertheless, here is a brief overview of some laws mostly gleaned from the Chofetz Chaim. Okay, so lashon hara literally means bad talk. This means that it's forbidden to speak negatively about someone, even if it's true. It is also forbidden to repeat anything about another, even if it is not a negative thing. This is called rechilut. It is also forbidden to listen to lashon hara. One should either reprimand the speaker, or if that is not possible, one should extricate oneself from that situation. Fine. Even if one has already heard the lashon hara, it is forbidden to believe it. On the contrary, one should always judge one's fellow favorably. Nevertheless, one may suspect that lashon hara is true and take the necessary precautions to protect oneself. It is forbidden to even make a motion that is derogatory towards someone. One may not even retell a negative event without using names, even if the listeners might be able to figure out who is being spoken of. Okay, in certain circumstances, such as to protect someone from harm, it is permissible or even obligatory to share negative information. Thank you. As there are many details to this law, one should consult a competent rabbi to learn what may be shared in any particular situation. Learn more at Whistleblowing in Jewish Law. Click. Okay. Whistleblowing in Jewish Law. Is that okay? Can I read a little bit?
Yes, please.
Dear Rabbi, this is by Rabbi Yehuda Sherpin. And it's a whistleblowing in Jewish law, what to say, how to say it, and if to say, in the light of classic sources in Halacha. Okay. Dear Rabbi, I recently become aware there's a widespread altering of signed applications, forgery, and misrepresentation in my workplace. Those most successful in the office say the job cannot be done without some creativity, quote-unquote creativity. I don't know if the unethical practices hurt anyone, but I really want to tell the management. The problem is I may be putting many people out of a job or worse, ruining their careers. Should I impose my understanding of what is ethical on the company, or should I wait and see if a gray area emerges? Okay. Here's the reply from the rep. I understand your dilemma. It is painful to stand by while others behave unethically. But as you have noted, before we take action, we must ensure that it will not have unintended consequences. With so many recent high-profile cases of whistleblowing, modern ethicists have been busy debating under what circumstances it is appropriate to inform on others. For the most part, the debate has centered on the balance between one's loyalty and obligation to the employer on one hand, and the freedom of speech, as well as the duty to try to stop wrongdoing on the other. As we will see, Jewish law has an entirely different perspective. In fact, freedom of speech and loyalty to the employer, as we understand them, do not really exist in Torah thought. Before getting to the issue of whistleblowing, however, halacha may require you to first confront the wrongdoers personally. Okay, and it says the obligation to admonish a wrongdoer. If you see your friends doing something wrong, the Torah requires you to confront and admonish them. As the verse states, quote, you shall not hate your brother in your heart. You shall surely rebuke your fellow, but you shall not bear a sin on his account. This obligation exists regardless of whether the action harms others, and the requirement lasts until the wrongdoer begins to curse or scream at you. Halacha, however, provides a range of exceptions to this law. First, the obligation applies only to close acquaintances or friends with whom you feel comfortable, even if they won't necessarily listen to you. If the wrongdoers are not your friends, then in all likelihood, your rebuke will only provoke them to hate or to take revenge against you. These are both Torah prohibitions in their own right. Secondly, if the sin is unintentional, right? If it's A, unintentional, or B, it is not a violation of a biblical prohibition, and C, you believe that the person will not heed your rebuke, then it is not proper to admonish the wrongdoer. Finally, if rebuking the person will result in a financial loss for you, you are not obligated to do it. In the ideal situation, the wrongdoers are your friends, and after you politely approach and admonish them, they realize their error and correct their ways. Unfortunately, things don't usually work out that way. In a situation where there is no harm to others, you can usually leave things be. But more often than not, there's a third party being harmed, either physically or financially. And in that case, Torah may require you to inform others so that the corrective measures can be taken. Okay, now, next is blowing the whistle. In general, repeating an evil report, even a true one, about someone else violates the biblical commandment. You shall not go around as a gossip monger amidst your people. You shall not stand by the shedding of your fellow's blood. I am the Lord. That's a quote. Okay. Where that is exactly from, one second. That's from Leviticus chapter 19, verse 16. In fact, depending on the situation, Lashon Hara, or tale-bearing, can violate up to 31 Torah commandments. Gosh. Yeah. Nevertheless, in a situation where the wrongdoers will result in physical or financial harm to others, it is mandatory to report it. Halacha makes a distinction, though, between the obligation to report a physical, life-threatening harm and the obligation to report a financial one. If you are in a situation where you can save someone from physical danger, then you are obligated to do so, even if it means incurring financial loss. As the verse states, you shall not stand idly by the blood of your neighbor. But you are not obligated to save others from a financial loss at your own expense, though it is praiseworthy to do so. Okay. Additional guideline for whistleblowing. Having ascertained that a situation may call for whistleblowing, it is important to keep in mind that the prohibition of tale-bearing is still in effect. In light of this, Rabbi Yisrael Meir Kagan, known as Chafetz Chaim, outlined certain conditions that when they met, they suspend the prohibition of tale-bearing. I'll say that again. Rabbi Yisrael, it is important to keep in mind that the prohibition of tale-bearing is still in effect. In light of this, Rabbi Yisrael Meir Chafetz Chaim outlines certain conditions that, when met, suspend the prohibition of Lashon Hara. Okay, so here are the bullet points, the guidelines. You still with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the objective of revealing the wrongdoing must be of a legitimate benefit, such as righting the wrong done to the victim. Okay? You must be certain that the information you have about the wrongdoing is factually correct, and know for certain that the person you are accusing is guilty. You may report only the relevant facts objectively, without exaggeration. Any exaggeration violates the prohibition of speaking falsehood. Before telling others, you must first satisfy your obligation of admonishing the wrongdoers yourself, as outlined above, if they're your friends and they'd listen to you. The disclosure should not cause greater harm than is necessary for the achievement of the whistleblower's objective. Okay? There must be no other means by which the desired effect can be achieved. The report should be motivated solely by the desire to right a wrong. If the motivation is a long-standing grudge or a desire to ridicule the wrongdoer, the report should not be made. I think for the most part we're whistleblowers. Obviously, we got to be. We probably got to like tighten that up a little bit, right? Like we got to be a little bit more vigilant.
Yeah.
Okay. Whistleblowers face a harsh dilemma. Do they reveal the wrongdoing and face the consequences, or do they keep quiet?
Yeah.
Contemporary society has not treated whistleblowers very well. Unfortunately, many are either fired outright or passed over when it comes to promotions. Nevertheless, in many instances, the Torah requires us to inform the proper authorities when someone does wrong. Hopefully, the above guidelines can serve as a starting point to bring clarity to your dilemma. No two situations are alike, however, and you should consult a rabbi regarding your specific circumstances. Thank you, Chabad.org. At least that was useful. Right? They provided some guidelines as to how to navigate that insane minefield.
Yeah. By the way, man. Speaking of which, you know what? Look, Elon Musk tweeted out today. He wrote, "Who funds these organizations that want to control your access to information? Let's investigate." And it was a link on CNN about them. And then he wrote, sunlight is the best disinfectant, as in, like, you got to shine a light on these people. And you know what he just wrote 15 minutes ago?
Yeah.
Twitter will always be free for casual users, but may be a slight cost for commercial/government users. It's crazy. So, I don't know.
He knows how to say all the right things.
Well, we'll see. Listen, the only way we know if it's legit is if he actually does something. If he doesn't do it, he's full of shit. That's it.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Let's say you're a general or you're a strategist, right? And let's say you have to assess your opponent.
Yeah.
Or you have to assess someone, whether they even are an opponent, and then if you decide they are an opponent, then you have to assess their character as to what you think they're going to do, so you can take the proper steps. Isn't that all Lashon Hara?
It's not. Why would it be?
Say, what if you're wrong? Like you have to do, like you have to.
No, that's all within the confines of due diligence. I mean, it's not. Why would it? It's kind of like if what is it? Doing research on a shidduch. All Lashon Hara rules basically, when it comes to shidduchim, don't really apply. You know that, right?
I wouldn't go that far.
No, when it comes to researching, there's way less that applies. Like, you're allowed to say if the person is like, if anything, dude, some of these shadchanim and rabbis, unfortunately, omit this information, and it's actually a crime to omit it. You know, when a person has a clinical issue, usually it's a clinical issue, you know? Because they want the person to get married.
It would seem that...
I've seen it.
That most of these laws, right? So if we have all of these exceptions, then when do the laws apply? Like when do, it would seem that it's mostly just kind of gossiping.
Yeah. I mean, no, listen, we have to learn these laws. That's why, they have chofetz haim a day. You learn them. They're very intricate. They're not so simple. Sometimes they apply in all cases. Sometimes they apply in this case. They don't apply in this case.
Let's do it. Let's do one a day.
Yeah.
On during the podcast.
Yeah.
What do you say?
Yeah, we should.
See if there's a website.
Here. No, there is a here. My whatever. Someone I know was sending me this all the time. But you realize Rebbe Kessin, this is like his main.
Yeah.
His main thing.
I know it's his main thing.
Here.
But it also I don't know if it's correct.
Here.
Something that he said, because he's saying that until we do Lashon Hara, Mashiach's not going to come. He didn't exactly say that, but he's saying that's what's preventing it. But at some point, Mashiach just has to come regardless of the situation. I'm hoping that we're there. I'm desperately hoping that we're at that point already.
Oh, so listen. This is today's lesson from hofetzhaimdaily.org. Lesson for ER 3. It's usher to believe rehilut, i.e., harbor negative feelings towards Ploni, like a person who allegedly damaged you. It's also usher to listen to rehilut. If the info being said is crucial for one's safety, he may not believe, but may take the necessary precautions to protect himself. So it's almost like somebody's telling you this guy's coming to, like, whatever, kill you. And you're like, well, that's BS. Or this guy's crazy, whatever. But at the same time, have a gun. It's interesting.
Let me reread that. So, it is usher to believe rechilut, which is to harbor negative feelings toward a person who allegedly damaged you. You're not allowed to even have negative feelings about someone who allegedly damaged.
Well, if somebody's saying something about that person that's negative, I'm assuming this is what they mean.
Meaning like if somebody's telling you something about a person
who like
did something wrong
screwed you over in the past, yeah, it doesn't mean that they did something wrong somewhere again. You
or
know?
it may not even be clear whether or not they actually did something wrong. It just seems to you that way.
Yeah. Like, you shouldn't sit around and go, oh, that's not a surprise. You know how sometimes people do, like, you know, it's like, oh, it's not a surprise. You did that to me. You know, like, that kind of deal.
Right. So it's usher to listen to Rechilut if the info being said is crucial.
No, it's also to listen to Rechilut, period.
Right. I'm sorry.
And then it says, if the info being said is crucial for one's safety, he may not believe, but may take the necessary precautions to protect himself.
Okay, so that could be, you know, when most of our conversations are talking about people who
want to kill us,
are or perhaps might be trying to kill us.
Yes.
So I'm thinking about Elon Musk. You know, I said a lot of negative things about Elon Musk.
Mm-hmm.
And it's mostly intuitive. Like, do I actually have... But, you know, in such an environment, when you have already active groups of people who are clearly trying to kill many, many people, right? And then you have someone that looks like they're associated with them.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's necessarily illegal to, I don't know, man.
Yeah. Can I do the first live on air exercise of not speaking Lashon Hara?
Let's see this happen.
Okay. Someone just messaged me. Someone who listens to our podcast. You don't know this person.
Okay.
Shalom. I'm doing shadchan work in part-time basis for the unschmaxed. I heard your YouTube recording about bad shidduchim experience, and I'm well aware about it. Well aware of it. Whatever. Bad English. If you're interested, please contact me. Send your dating resume. I want to write to the person. The dating resume part is the part that is included in the bad shidduchim experience. It's like saying, if you want to change the situation that you're in, please do the same thing you were doing before. You see how I did Norm Macdonald there?
Yeah. Well, you try it anyway, but
yes,
that's okay.
Like, beat your head against the wall and then complain to the doctor that your head hurts. I mean, this person should have all the bracha and hatzlacha in the world. That's all.
And they certainly mean well.
Yeah.
I mean, we could say that, right? I mean, there's it's almost beyond. There's no point to even say it. They really do mean well. Right? Just. But
we know about the whole what the road to Gehenna is paved with, right? As we say.
With good intentions. Mm-hmm. With good intentions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, I did my best. I failed.
Yeah, we're miserable failures. Yeah, because you know why? Wait, I can't even say that. I can't even say why what you did might be Lashon Hara, because that's Lashon Hara against you. So cumbersome.
But I'm here.
I know, but okay. I might not even be able to allow, Okay. You know what we can do, by the way?
What?
You know what we can do?
Maybe we should not speak ever again.
On our video. No. I think that this is very important. I'm not seriously.
Mm-hmm.
I think from now on, and if possible, go back, and we have to put disclaimers on all of our videos saying that mostly shtick, not to be taken seriously unless otherwise indicated.
Yes.
Right? That way people know we're just trying to be, for the most part, entertaining.
Yeah.
But then when, maybe we could put a guideline. When the tone changes and a bell rings, we can make some indicator. It's time to be real, right? Where we're not, no shtick-free moment. Something like that.
Yeah.
Like in Pee Wee Herman's Playhouse, they had like the word of the day where everybody's like,
yes.
If you say the word of the day, everybody's like, ah!
Yeah. Hey, Cherry.
Right. So we could have like a a bike horn or something like that. You know, yeah, exactly. Dude, that's a good impression of a bike horn. That's awesome.
Auga.
Right.
It's like, okay, ladies and gentlemen, shtick time or serious time.
Remember that song? Ooga chaga, ooga chaga.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Hooked on a feeling. That's so crazy.
Dude, you know what? I was watching a clip of, because I kept sending them to you, the Pauly Shore MTV episodes. I didn't realize that he was doing some of those like in the late 80s, because he was like, at one of them, he's like, let's check out this video by Billy Idol, Cradle of Love, this cool video. The Weasel.
Oh yeah, no, he was a VJ, right? Wasn't
Yeah, he was like doing like it was a show like, Pauly Shore on the Street or something like that. Whatever. He was just like interviewing people. He? Half the time he's just trying to pick up chicks.
Dude, he seems like he seems like a good dude.
He's a good dude. He's a good dude. It's a sad thing because he he rose very quickly and then he kind of like fizzled out. He was doing mostly movies.
His character was very
The Weasel.
It didn't travel through trends.
It did not transcend. No, the Weasel did not transcend.
The Weasel did not, right. But it was funny.
Yeah.
It's like really original, by the way.
Dude, Encino Man was a great movie.
Encino was awesome. And then there's that one where he went with his like college roommate friend or something like that back to her farm. Family.
Son-in-law?
I think so. That was
Son-in-law, yeah.
That was a comedy, I would dare say, almost a comedy.
Yeah, he walked in on like her mom, and he was like, I saw the clip. He's like,
I screwed up.
Why?
I remember that scene, and I'm like, yeah, I know that's problematic.
Yes. And he's just like, we should like improve your wardrobe. You could like you could. She's like, really?
Right.
In this
makeover?
Yeah, he's like complimenting her. I was like.
He's his character is like a gay heterosexual guy or something.
It's the first
kind of metrosexual.
He's the first metrosexual, basically. Yeah, that's exactly what he is. It's when that's exact. Well, I think that they were using. Of course, they were starting using a Jew, a very public Jewish actor, as the example for that's the way you're supposed to be.
Well, hang on a second. You're saying somebody designed that character and made Pauly Shore do it?
I don't know if they designed that character. I think that Pauly Shore that's one of his, so to speak, personas. And then I guess
they capitalized on it. They're like,
he auditioned for somebody, and then they were just like, yeah, stick with that. Everything you do from now on, stick with that. Stick with this effeminate wheeze. The Weasel. Hey, dude. Hey, buddy.
Dude, we started out so good with Pauly Shore. Now we're bordering on.
No, so he was like, listen to this rad video from Billy Idol called "Cradle of Love."
Dude, he is cool, man. I like him.
Dude, there's that clip of him for like an hour. He apparently he's best friends with Chris Kattan. And there's this one clip, and then Chris Kattan comes to visit him. Dude, you know why Chris Kattan had to quit, right? Comedy. He fell off one of the skits in SNL. He did like some sort of stunt. No, like a stunt, like he jumped or something. Because he's a very physical comedian.
Yeah.
And he screwed up his neck. Like he can't move his neck, mamish. It's really crazy.
Damn, dude.
And yeah, but like he's still really good friends with Pauly Shore. And then he like comes to visit him.
Is Kattan a Jew? That's a Jewish last
name.
Kattan?
At the very least, his father's Jewish. Let's look this up. I'm pretty sure he's Jewish. I'd be surprised if he's not Jewish. I'd be very, very surprised. The Kitzer, they were hanging out, and then like at one point, Chris Kattan is like, he goes to Pauly Shore. He's like, "You're just saying words, and I don't even know if you know what you're saying." And his father Kip King was born to Jewish parents from Iraq and Poland. That's his father.
His father is definitely Iraqi. His mother has to be.
His mother was his mother was Hajnalka Biro. I think his mother's Hungarian. And his father's Jewish. There you go.
Wait, so hold on a second.
His father's a Jew. His mother's Hungarian.
Hanjanka Biro does not sound like a Jewish mother.
Yeah, no. She's Hungarian. Like Hungarian. She's a native of Hungary and is a Buddhist, his mom.
Okay, let's talk Lashon Hara about him. He's fine. He's not Jewish. Just kidding. I'm sure that's what people expected. You know, that's what anti-Semites were thinking in their head.
Yeah. It's funny that his last name is Katan because he's like short and kind of...
Yeah. Chris Katan. Katan.
Yeah, but Kitzer, he like screwed up... It sucks, man. He like screwed up his neck and he couldn't really work anymore. And what's his name was saying, like, yeah, man, they wanted to have a Zoolander 2. Not Zoolander, I'm sorry. Night at the Roxbury 2. and then Pauly Shore's like, maybe I can be the guy that does this. You know, he like moves his neck side to side.
Yeah.
Because Chris Kattan can't do it. He's like, I could play you with Will Ferrell. And Kattan is like, that's a horrible idea. I don't know where you're getting these ideas from. I don't know who's approving these ideas. This is terrible ideas. He's like, I don't even know why I'm here. I woke up. I didn't sleep at all. I slept in your house. I woke up. I don't even want to be here. I want to go home. And Pauly Shore's like, let me drive to the airport. He's like, no, I'm good. I'll just take an Uber. I'm fine. Don't worry about me. I'm good.
Dude, do you remember this one character that he played on SNL? I don't think it was recurring, but it was like some kind of workout program, right? Where you get this box delivered, and out of the box is this monkey-like creature which attacks you.
Are you talking about Mango?
No. It's a monkey-like creature, which attacks you, and the workout is to subdue it and put it back in the box. That's the workout. And Kattan played the monkey creature.
Hold on, let me see what this is.
It's crazy. I remember this.
Monkey. I mean, it's not much different from the.
It's a little bit. This one's a little
from
bit
the
more
other characters
than
that
Mango.
I was gonna say it's like. Oh, so this was the scene when he fell, Mr. Peepers.
Mr. Peepers.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this was a recurring thing, and that's where because he fell and he screwed up his neck. He fell.
That would make sense because Mr. Peepers was bonkers.
He was bonkers, and he was. You know who was in that scene with him? The Rock. Who played like an amazing Mr. Peepers? Mr. Peepers and Papa Peepers.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, see, Chris Kattan says his life changed forever after SNL sketch. Yeah, he screwed up his neck. He fell. Hilarious. He did that. He had that character since like flipping, I don't know, college or something, or high school. Oh no, somebody else did it. Not. Never mind. Oh, it was some guy in a high school. Okay, never mind. Imitating him. Hilarious. Yeah, Mr. Peepers. Yeah. Huh. So.
Yeah.
What's next? I had a friend who used to say, "What's next in life?"
Okay, can I get back into the for a moment?
Yes.
I wanted to read something of a very small excerpt from Jacques Vallée's book. Last time I read a long one, it was a few pages. This is like less than a paragraph. Again, the book is called The Invisible College, okay? And it's what a group of scientists has discovered about UFO influence on the human race, okay? By Jacques Vallée, okay? So this is amazing. This is you'll check this out. Okay, so he's talking about there's a social scientist by the name of Evans Wentz.
Okay.
Okay. He writes here, the most interesting theory put forth by Evans Wentz. You want to Google that for a second? Evans Wentz.
1 second. How do you spell that?
Evans. Wentz. Wentz.
Walter Evans Wentz. He was an American anthropologist and writer who was a pioneer in the study of Tibetan Buddhism and in transmission of Tibetan Buddhism to the Western world, most known for publishing an early English translation of the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Wow, in 1927.
Okay.
It's interesting, all this stuff was him. He had 3 other texts translated from the Tibetan. Tibet's Great Yogi Milarepa, 1928. Tibetan Yoga and Secret Doctrines, 1935. and the Tibetan Book of the Great Liberation, 1954, and wrote the preface to Paramahansa Yogananda, speaking of yoga, famous spiritual book, Autobiography of a Yogi, 1946. He was born in Trenton, New Jersey. His father is from Germany. Came to America with his parents in 1846. His father did. And his mother was Irish. It's interesting. It sounds very similar to the Trump story. German father, Irish mother. Anyway.
Well, I mean, I think it was his grandfather, if anything. No, it wasn't even his... Was it a grandfather or great-grandfather?
Grandfather was from Germany. Grandfather was from Germany. Oh, listen to this. Though initially Baptist, Walter's, this Evans Wentz guy, father had turned to spiritualism and theosophy.
Madame Blavatsky, the Toolies.
As a teenager, Walter read Madame Blavatsky's Isis Unveiled and the Secret Doctrine in his father's library and became interested in the teachings of theosophy and the occult. Subsequently, Walter moved to San Diego, California, to join his father's profession, but also because it was close to Loma Land, the American headquarters for the Theosophical Society, which he joined in 1901. Age 24.
Loma Land?
Loma Land. Let's read about this Loma Land thing. Let's see.
Sounds like Loma Linda University.
No. Was a theosophical community based in Point Loma, San Diego, California, from 1900 to 1942. Wow. Theosophical Society leader Catherine Tingley founded it in 1900 as a school, cultural center, and residential facility for her followers. I want to read about her after. The American headquarters of the Theosophical Society, Pasadena, was also situated there. The facility was important to the growing city of San Diego for its cultural offerings, and it left a lasting legacy in its campus, now Point Loma Nazarene University. Remind me not to go there for anything. Which still retains many of the unique architectural features of the original Loma Land. Yeah, it's like this kind of specific architecture. The residents of Loma Land also transformed their Point Loma neighborhood by planting so many trees, orchards, and shrubs that the formerly barren neighborhood is now known as the Wooded Area. Let's see. Led by Catherine Tingley, the group came to Point Loma to establish a community that would model the theosophical and humanitarian goals of theosophy. The White City, envisioned by Tingley, was to be located on the extreme western edge of the North American continent, but oriented toward India, the spiritual center of the theosophical beliefs. The blend of New World confidence, Victorian morality, a love of antiquity, and Indian spirituality created a unique community that found its expression in architecture that is still visible on the campus of Point Loma Nazarene University. 1 second, let me just find...
Well, hold on. Let me just read what this Wentz fella said on this topic before you continue, because I am interested. So he said, the most interesting theory put forth by Evans Wentz, this is Jacques Vallée writing, is a further development of his observation that ancient gods, lowercase g, are continued under new names as the myths evolve from civilization to civilization, following the fortunes of war. Okay? Could it be, he asked, listen to this, could it be, he asked, that every land has its own psychic and telluric forces contributing to the appearance of certain spirit entities regarded by human beings as gods and goddesses? Could the parallelisms between Mormon and ancient Indian beliefs be an example of such a mythological process? So Frank Waters, you can look him up too, had pointed out before Evans went that the early white settlers in America had become very closely Indian in spirit and feeling. And he writes, quote, this is Frank Waters writing, they had confronted here the great psychic entity, which was the spirit of place, the heart of a new continent. It shattered them completely, but each succumbed in a different way. He's talking about the pioneers who ventured out west. So what does that sound like to you? Something that we've spoken about very, very often. You know what I'm talking about? I'll read it again.
Yes.
The most interesting theory put forth by Evans Wentz is a further development of his observation that ancient lowercase g gods are continued under new names as the myths evolve from civilization to civilization, following the fortunes of war. Okay, now here's the part where, let's pay attention. Could it be, he asked, Evans Wentz was asking, that every land has its own psychic and telluric forces?
Oh, we were talking about, what is it, the angel, no.
The ministering angel.
Yeah.
That's what they're describing.
Yeah, pretty much. Just,
Just thought that was interesting, but if you want to continue reading about...
listen to this woman, Catherine Tingley. Catherine Augusta Westcott Tingley was a social worker and prominent theosophist. She led the American section of the Theosophical Society. After W.Q. Judge, she founded and led the Theosophical community in Loma Land, Point Loma, California. She was employed as a social worker in New York, and when she met William Quan Judge, she joined the Theosophical Society on October 13, 1894. 1895, disputes between Judge and Annie Besant led to a split, and with Judge taking most of the American section with him, and leading it for 1 year until his death in 1896. At that point, Tingley became the new head of the Universal Brotherhood and Theosophical Society, although her identity was concealed for 1 year. In 1898, a group of roughly 200 theosophists, led by Ernest Temple Hargrove, seceded from Tingley's organization and formed a rival group based in New York City. It's funny, it's like a little havdil, it's almost like the shuls, She conducted 2 theosophical crusades around the world. She was the founder of the International Brotherhood League and also the Summer Home for Children, Spring Valley, New Jersey, of a home for orphan children in Point Loma, California, and of several academies for boys and girls in Cuba. She did relief and emergency hospital work after the Spanish-American War, was instrumental in establishing hospitals in Manila and, Philippines and Cuba. In February 13th, I'm just going to, skip some points. Here you go. In 1901, the Los Angeles Times printed a story entitled Outrages at Point Loma, exposed by an escape from Tingley. Startling tales told in the city. Women and children starved and treated like convicts. Thrilling rescue. It made various claims against Tingley, and she immediately filed a lawsuit against the paper for libel, and won the following year, speaking of Lashon Hara, resulting in other papers being much more reluctant to attack her publicly. In 1913, she founded the Parliament of Peace and Universal Brotherhood, and in 1919, the Theosophical University at Point Loma. She established several Theosophical branch centers in America and in Europe, and also a summer school for children at Visingsö, Sweden. She was the editor of the Theosophical Path. Many Theosophical magazines were published under her direction in Germany, Holland, and Sweden. She was the author of Theosophy and Some of the Vital Problems of the Day. That's entitled a book. Also Marriage in the Home, and also Theosophy, the Path of the Mystic. Let's see, personal life. Okay, she married this guy, whatever. After her death, successors transferred society to Covina, California, and then to Pasadena, where it currently exists. It's kind of crazy. It's basically...
So I don't know, we have to... I think we mentioned this early on, but I remember I didn't say this the last time we spoke about theosophy and all this kind of stuff. We can't automatically assume that everybody who's involved in theosophy is a tool.
Yeah, of course not.
It's probably important to point that out.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a spectrum.
Yeah.
just like anywhere else.
Listen, what I notice is it's like a bunch of white people, white Europeans, who are just like they're they don't know what to grasp at. They're looking for something spiritually, and it's usually they who end up founding these. Essentially, they're like glorified cults. That's what they are.
You know what's funny about what you just said?
Okay.
Hitler, he had a similar sentiment about Islam.
Mm-hmm.
He thought it was a shame that Islam went to Arabs.
Yeah.
He goes, it would be a more appropriate religion for the Aryan, for the...
Yeah. Here. Well, that's why, the fake Palestinians take a lot of the stuff from Hitler.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Here. Hitler... Yeah, because whatever he learned from this Mufti guy. Here. 1 second. Hitler quotes about Islam. Yeah, here. Did you know that Hitler once wished he was a Muslim? Yeah. Islamists praise Hitler while cursing Israel, But did you know that Hitler wished he was a Muslim too? In the wake of the recent flare-up in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, whatever. Many people, including celebrities, are indulging bigotry. This is like some Pakistani, Indian thing. And hate online directed towards the Jewish people. On Wednesday, an anti-Semitic speech was on full display with Pakistani actress Veena Malik. This is like 2021, last year. Misquoting Adolf Hitler himself, glorifying the Holocaust, which killed 6 million Jews. Quote, I would have killed all the Jews of the world, but I kept some to show the world why I killed them, which is not a real quote from Hitler. In a tweet, the reality show turned Twitter troll misattributed a quote to Adolf Hitler and wrote, I would have killed the Jews of the world, but the same fake Hitler quote has been used by many Palestinian supporters online in order to justify their anti-Semitic bigotry. In reality, there's no evidence or documentation that back the claim that Hitler said those words. 1 second. I want to hear. Here you go. Hitler's views on Islam. According to the memoirs of Nazi Minister of War production Albert Speer, he was his architect, Hitler had high praise for Islam, wishing that it was the religion of the Germanic people. Quote, the Mohammedan religion would have been much more compatible to us than Christianity. Why did it have to be Christianity with its meekness and flabbiness? Hitler is quoted. So basically what he's saying is like, we want to be somehow related more to Yitzhak. We want to be like Ishmael, be like Chazak, According to Speer, Hitler wished that the Umayyad Caliphate had won the Battle of Tours against the Franks in 732. This particular battle was credited with stopping the influx of Islam further into Europe and saving Christianity in Europe. Had Charles Martel not been victorious at Poitiers, already, you see, the world had fallen into the hands of the Jews, so gutless a thing was Christianity. Then we should, in all probability, have been converted to Mohammedanism, that cult which glorifies heroism and which opens the seventh heaven to the bold warrior alone. Then the Germanic races would have conquered the world. Christianity alone prevented them from doing so. Basically what we're saying is that Amalek should have taken the ideology of Ishmael. And if Amalek would have had the ideology of Ishmael, they would conquer the world. So it's crazy because Ishmael took the ideology of Amalek. Because you look at Hamas and all these guys. And Iran. Hitler went on to say, according to Speer, Hitler was convinced that Islam had taken root in Central Europe at this time. Germanic people would have become the heirs of that religion, with Islam being perfectly suited to Germanic temperament. Hitler said that while the Arabs, on account of their racial inferiority, would have been unable to handle the harsh climate and conditions of the region, well, they're handling it now. They just invaded the whole freaking continent. And that instead, the Islamized Germans would have stood at the head of this Mohammedan empire and a religion that believed in spreading the faith by the sword and in subjugating all nations to that faith. As per the book Islam and Nazi Germany's War, written by David Motadel, Muslims fought for both the Allies and the Axis in World War II. However, only the Nazis and Islamists had a spiritual romance, sharing mutual hatred of the Jews, the Bolsheviks, and liberal democracy. Made by Jews, led by Jews, therewith Bolshevism is the natural enemy of Islam, wrote Mohammed Sabri, a Berlin-based propagandist for the Muslim Brotherhood, in his book Islam, Judaism, Bolshevism, a book which was recommended by the Nazi Reich to journalists. It's funny because now you have all kinds of Islamists who like communism or joined up with communists. In November 1944, Heinrich Himmler, a top-ranking Nazi and architect of the Holocaust, along with the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, Hajj Amin al-Husseini, created the first school for military imams to serve Muslim Germanics at Dresden. Oh, that's why they bombed Dresden. That's good. We should do the same thing in Gaza. This school was run by the Schutzstaffel SS, a Nazi paramilitary organization, in order to cater to Muslim Germanics who were the first non-Germanic volunteers for the SS. Notwithstanding Hitler's apparent admiration for Islam and the Prophet Muhammad, and his willingness to work with Arab political leaders, he viewed Arabic people as racial and social inferiors. Therefore, it is very ironic that some of the same people who Hitler considered inferior are now praising him and whitewashing his atrocities in order to push their bigoted anti-Semitic agenda. It's like the same schmucks who wear Che Guevara t-shirts, not realizing that Che Guevara hates gays. Hated gays.
And blacks.
And blacks.
And Jews.
And Jews. And Israel. Bunch of idiots. Oh, God.
And America.
Yeah.
Che Guevara,
no, but
he wanted to send a nuclear missile to America.
Yeah.
He thought that would be a good idea.
Yeah, well, Iran thinks it's a good idea too. Yeah, the Fuhrer, there's another article, Wall Street Journal. The Fuhrer admired Ataturk's, that's the leader of Turkey back in the day, subordination of religion to the state and his ruthless treatment of minorities. It's an article.
It's funny, like anti-Semites in Turkey who hate Ataturk, call him a Jew.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Whoever it is like that you hate becomes the Jew.
Yeah. Becomes the Jew or the Jew lover or the Israel ally or this. See, this is more. It's been our misfortune to have the wrong religion, Hitler complained to his pet architect Albert Speer. Why did it have to be Christianity? Okay. Was meekness famous? Islam was a mana religion, a religion of men, hygienic too. And so the soldiers of Islam received warriors' heaven, a real earthly paradise with horis and wine flowing. Auris and wine flowing. This, Hitler argued, was much more suited to the Germanic temperament than the Jewish filth and priestly twaddle of Christianity. It's interesting, like, it's just crazy to me, like, basically, leftists are schmucks. I mean, we know that already, but they're such schmucks because they don't understand that the misogynist, quote-unquote, misogynist, that they're yakking about are the ones that they're allying with in Fakistan. When they go like, or when they talk about queers for Palestine. It's like, what are you talking about, dude? These people you're like enemy number one to them. Like, it's.
I don't think it's real. Like queers for Palestine.
No,
I don't think that's actually real.
It can't be real. It's impossible.
No, because I'll tell you why. I mean, if somebody had an idea, one of these like whatever, what do they call them? Think tanks. Yeah. They're like, how are we going to get the gays on board? All right, gays for Palestine.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We'll come up with like maybe we'll find like 15 schmucks.
Yeah.
Right. And who you can tell anything to.
Yeah.
Right. And get them to march with signs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not more than like 15 of them.
Yeah.
Right. So and then we'll show it on the news all the time, right?
Yeah.
As if it's a real thing, and then it becomes a real thing.
Yeah.
That's all they do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I find it very difficult to believe that gay people would actually, I mean, anybody with the slightest. Gays aren't idiots.
Yeah.
Most of them aren't.
No.
They're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
If we go
over there, they're gonna tie us.
They throw them off of tall buildings,
or tie them to motorcycles and drag them on the ground. Until they, yeah. It's fun, huh? I want to read this thing about Turkey. This is actually quite, yes. No, but this is actually quite interesting. An interesting article about Turkey and Armenia. For decades, historians have seen Hitler's beer hall putsch of 1923 as emulating Mussolini's 1922 March on Rome. Not so, says Stefan Ihrig in Ataturk in the Nazi Imagination. Hitler also had Turkey in mind, and not just the 1908. 1908.
What's happening?
I'm just like dropping my phone. 1 second, I just want to make sure we're still recording. Yes, we are. Okay. Not just the 1908 March of the Young Turks in Constantinople, which brought down a government. After 1917, a bankrupt, defeated, and cosmopolitan Ottoman Empire contracted into a vigorous, tyrannic nation-state. In the early 1920s, the new Turkey was the first revisionist power to opt out of the post-war system, retaking lost lands on the Syrian coast and controlling over the Strait of the Dardanelles. Speaking of Mashiach, Hitler, Mr. Ihrig writes, saw Turkey as
explain that.
Basically, after World War I, Europe was already starting to get into its head that we have to, stop with these empires. They're breaking up. Austria-Hungary broke up into like Austria and Hungary. They started to have these nation states. But Turkey, it says they opted out of the post-war system, retaking lost lands on the Syrian coast. That they took more land and control over the Strait of Dardanelles. Hitler, Mr. Ihrig writes, saw Turkey as a model of a prosperous and Volkish modern state. Through the 1920s and 1930s, Nazi publications lauded Turkey as a friend and forerunner. In 1922, for example, the Volkischer Beobachter, the Nazi Party's weekly paper, praised Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, the father of the Turks, as a real man, embodying the heroic spirit and Führer principle that demanded absolute obedience. Ataturk's subordination of Islam to the state anticipated Hitler's strategy towards Christianity. The Nazis presented Turkey as stronger for having massacred its Armenians and expelling its Greeks. Who, Hitler asked in 1939, speaks today of the extermination of the Armenians? Well, he's right, nobody did. This was not Germany's first case of Turk fever. Turkey had slid into World War I not by accident, but because Germany had greased the tracks, training officers, supplying weapons, and drawing the country away from Britain and France. Hitler wanted to repeat the Kaiser's experiment in search of a better result. By 1936, Germany supplied half of Turkey's imports and bought half of Turkey's exports, notably chromite, vital for steel production. But Ataturk, Mr. Ehrig writes, hedged his bets and dodged the decisive friendship. After Ataturk's death in 1938, his successor, Ismet Inonu, tacked between the powers. In 1939, Turkey signed the Treaty of Mutual Defense with Britain, but in 1941, Turkey agreed to a treaty of friendship with Germany, securing Hitler's southern flank before he invaded Russia. Inonu hinted that Turkey would join the fight if Germany could conquer the Caucasus. As David Motadel writes in Islam and Nazi Germany's War, Muslims fought on both sides in World War II. But only Nazis and Islamists had political spiritual romance. Both groups hated Jews, Bolsheviks, and liberal democracy. Both sought what Michael Foucault, praising the Iranian Revolution in 1979, would later call the spiritual political transfiguration of the world by combat. The Caliph, the Islamist Zaki Ali, explained, was the Führer of the believers, made by Jews, led by Jews, therewith Bolshevism is the natural enemy of Islam, wrote Mohammed Sabri, a Berlin-based propagandist for the Muslim Brotherhood in Islam, Judaism, and Bolshevism, a book that the Reich's propaganda ministry recommended to journalists. By late 1941, Germany controlled large Muslim populations in southeastern Europe and North Africa. Nazi policy extended the grand schemes of Imperial Germany toward madly modern ends. To aid the liberation struggle of Islam, the propaganda ministry told journalists to praise, quote, the Islamic world as a cultural factor, avoid criticism of Islam, and substitute anti-Jewish for anti-Semitic. In April 1942, Hitler became the first European leader to declare that Islam was incapable of terrorism. As usual, it is hard to tell if the Führer set the tone or merely amplified his people's obsessions. Interesting. Like Ataturk, Hitler saw the Turkish Renaissance as racial, not religious. Germans of Turkish and Iranian descent were exempt from the Nuremberg laws, but the racial status of German Arabs remained creatively indefinite even after September 1943, when Muslims became eligible for membership in the Nazi Party. As the war went on, wow, I didn't really know this, Balkan Muslims were added to the racially valuable peoples of Europe. The Palestinian Arab leader Haj Amin al-Husseini, Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, recruited thousands of these Muslim Germanics as the first non-Germanic volunteers for the SS. It's funny, he didn't even recruit his own.
Albanians.
Soviet prisoners of Turkic origins volunteered too. In November 1944, Himmler and the Mufti created an SS-run school for military imams in Dresden. Haj Amin al-Husseini, the founder of Palestinian nationalism, is notorious for his efforts to persuade the Nazis to extend their genocide of the Jews to the Palestine Mandate. The Mufti met Hitler and Himmler in Berlin in 1941 and asked the Nazis to guarantee that when the Wehrmacht drove the British from Palestine, Germany would establish an Arab regime and assist in the removal of its Jews. Hitler replied that the Reich would not intervene in the Mufti's kingdom other than to pursue their shared goal, the annihilation of Jewry living in Arab space. The Mufti settled in Berlin, befriended Adolf Eichmann, and lobbied the governments of Romania, Hungary, and Bulgaria to cancel a plan to transfer Jews to Palestine. Subsequently, some 400,000 Jews from these countries were sent to death camps. Mr. Motadel describes the Mufti's Nazi dealings vividly, but he also excels in unearthing other odious and fascinating characters, among them Zeki Kiram, the Ottoman officer turned disciple of Rashid Rida, founder of the Muslim Brotherhood, and Johann von Leers, a Nazi professor who converted to Islam and became Omar Amin, an anti-Semitic publicist for Nasser's Egypt. Some of the Muslim Nazis ended badly. Others stayed at their desks, then consulted for Saudi Arabia in retirement. the major Muslim collaborators escaped. Fearing Muslim uprisings, the Allies did not try the Mufti as a war criminal. He died in Beirut in 1974. Politically eclipsed by his young cousin, Mohammed Abdul Rauf al-Qudwa al-Husseini, better known as Yasser Arafat. Oh, he's a cousin of this guy. Meanwhile, at Munich, the surviving SS volunteers, joined by refugees from Soviet Union, formed post-war Germany's first Islamic communities. Its leaders, an ex-Wehrmacht imam and the erstwhile chief imam of the Eastern Muslim SS division. In the 50s, some of the Munich's Muslim ex-Nazis worked for the intelligence services of the U.S., tightening the green belt against communism. So if anything, it's like Muslims fighting against communism in America. A revolutionary idea must be seeded, like S-E-E-D-E-D, before, in Heidegger's words, suddenly the unbound powers of being come forth and are accomplished as history. 7 decades passed between Europe's revolutionary spring of 1848 and the Russian Revolution of 1917. The effects of Germany's ideological seeding of Muslim societies in the 1930s and 40s are only now becoming apparent. Impeccably researched and clearly written, Mr. Motadel and Eric's books will transform our understanding of the Nazi policies that were. Mr. Motadel writes some of the most vigorous attempts to politicize and instrumentalize Islam in modern history. Crazy. That is so crazy.
You know what this kind of put something together for me.
Yeah.
Which I couldn't understand when I was watching it.
Uh-huh.
You know the actor Oliver Platt?
Yes.
So he was in a movie where he was like a whatchamacallit? He was, let me see the filmography. He went undercover into some kind of Nazi cult or some like neo-Nazi like group or something like that. This was, let's see, the 90s.
The Infiltrator. I never heard about this. It's called the Infiltrator. After
it
German,
might be called the Infiltrator.
Yeah, after German police, here, 1995, right? Yeah,
that sounds about right.
Here, it doesn't say anything in the Wikipedia one. 1 second. Here, it's IMDb. A freelance reporter goes undercover and joins a neo-Nazi hate group. Oliver Platt plays them. Yaron Svorey. Some Israeli, I guess? I don't know.
I'm not sure, but it's really weird. Like, when he got in there, and he looks the way that he looks, obviously Oliver Platt, right?
Yeah.
He could pass for Jewish or some kind of Mediterranean dude, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And somehow they accept him at this neo-Nazi.
The olive-skinned newcomer.
Right, he looks like an olive-skinned newcomer, but then, they're like, oh, we did not know what to make of this guy. He comes here looking like a Turkish gigolo. That's what.
If anything happens to my apartment,
one guy said about him.
Yeah, dude, it was a straight. It was an HBO movie, by the way. That's why.
Yeah. So now, so I was thinking when I saw that, I'm like, so how come why do they accept that guy so easily?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he kind of doesn't fit, like, physically the description of.
Yep.
I thought they were against guys that look like that.
Can I read to you? Can I read to you the Variety?
Oh, did you hear? Did you hear my big revelation here?
No, I get it. Yeah.
And there's a lot of Turks in Germany.
Yeah, dude. First of all,
starting to add up now.
A friend of mine dated a girl in Switzerland. This is like 22 years ago. Back then, you're talking the year 1999, 2000. She was saying that the Kosovars and the Turks are here in Switzerland, and they basically are not, many of them, some of them do assimilate, whatever. A lot of them are not going to do that. Not only that, they're living off of, social welfare of the state. And, this girl said, she's like, it's one thing when you have a homogeneous society, where everybody has the same cultural, so to speak, goals and ideology, but you can have a semblance of, socialistic, let's say, policies, economic, cultural. You can,
When your whole country is less than 5 million people, and you all look alike.
When you're when you're Sweden, but once Sweden gets Zlatan Ibrahimovic, and a bunch of Zlatan Ibrahimoviches, not just one, then Sweden's gone. But can I read to you the Variety magazine reception of this movie that you mentioned?
Yeah.
Listen to this genius. Variety praised the high quality of performances and production values of the film and called it powerful TV, all the more unsettling for reminding us that right-wing extremism didn't die with Hitler. I don't understand. Why do people think that Hitler's right-wing? National Socialist Party. I don't understand. Who can, National Socialist German Workers' Party.
I'll tell you exactly where the confusion is. Okay? It's all in semantics.
It's all in language.
Easy to hide.
Yeah.
So Nazi. What is Nazi an acronym for?
It's just an acronym for like fascist, that's not.
It's an acronym.
Oh, the actual acronym? Yeah, National Socialist Workers' Party.
Like the German, like in German. Why is it Nazi? Where's the tse? The tse sound. Where does that come from?
No, it's so. The tse here. I'll tell you exactly where it's from. It's National Socialismus. Is the ideology?
Okay.
Yeah.
Nazi. So
National Socialism.
Right. So in German, National, right?
Yeah. Nationalism,
that's
basically.
Where Nazi. Right.
They took the nationalism part.
They out the socialist part. That's all.
Yeah. They're focused more on the nationalist part.
It's the nationalist part but the nationalist part is not the racist part.
No, it's predicated
and
on the socialism.
Part is not the fascist part.
It's predicated on. It requires the socialism part in order to be national. It requires it. It's a combination. It can't be alone.
No, but the language.
Yeah.
See, they manipulated the language because they made it seem that nationalist means racist or fascist.
Yeah.
People don't know what fascism is.
Yeah, they don't know.
People don't know what nationalism is.
Fascism is basically
either one of them could be done without racism.
Yeah.
You can have a nationalist, non-racist, like American nationalism, for instance, is not a racist nationalism.
Yeah.
It's a cultural nationalism.
Yeah.
Okay? It's a shared culture.
If anything, you could say maybe chauvinism, maybe. Some level.
I like the term chauvinism.
Yeah. You're a male chauvinist pig.
Yeah, I'm
admittedly so. Yeah.
Admittedly, happily.
What is it? What is it? No, ma'am. The
from Al Bundy.
Here, the national organization. See, they wouldn't be able to have these characters today. This whole spiel. It's called the National Organization of Men Against Amazonian Masterhood. And it has their symbol, the woman symbol, and it's just like a line going through it. Anti-feminist organization, men's group.
Dude, you got to read about, how like the Amazons are romanticized and made into heroes of feminism?
No,
why don't we read
they're violent
about the Amazons?
Yeah. Here.
Let's see.
Amazonian women. Here. Hope they don't give me the here. Here. Okay. Are portrayed in a number of ancient epic poems and legends such as Labors of Hercules, Argonautica, and the Iliad. They were a group of female warriors and hunters who matched men in physical agility and strength, in archery, riding skills, and the arts of combat. Their society was closed for men, and they only raised their daughters, either killing their sons and returning them to their fathers, with whom they would only socialize briefly in order to reproduce. Dude, it's almost like they're trying to do this, this transgender thing, turn into men who have, they become women, but they have as much strength and agility as men.
This is where the Amazons came from.
It's so crazy. They were like transgender men. Flip. Listen to this. Courageous and fiercely independent, the Amazons, commanded by their queen, regularly undertook extensive military expeditions to the far corners of the world, from Scythia to Thrace, Asia Minor, and the Aegean Islands, reaching as far as Arabia and Egypt. Besides military raids, the Amazons are also associated with the foundation of temples an establishment of numerous ancient cities like Ephesus, Cyme, Smyrna, Sinope, Myrina, Magnesia, Pygela, etc. The texts of original myths envisioned the homeland of the Amazons as at the periphery of the then known world. Various claims to the exact place ranged from provinces in Asia Minor to the steppes around the Black Sea or even Libya. However, authors most frequently referred to Pontus in northern Anatolia, on the southern shores of the Black Sea, as the independent Amazon kingdom, where the Amazon queen resided in her capital, Themyscira, on the banks of Thermodon River. Dude, if you watch the movie, Wonder Woman, that's where she is from, that whole shit. She was raised by these people. Palaephatus, who himself might have been a fictional character, attempted to rationalize the Greek myths in his work on Unbelievable Tales. He suspected that the Amazons were probably men who were mistaken for women by their enemies because they wore clothing that reached their feet, tied up their hair in headbands, and shaved their beards. Probably the first in a long line of skeptics, he rejected any real basis for them, reasoning that because they did not exist during his time, most probably they did not exist in the past either. Decades of archaeological discoveries of countless burial sites of female warriors, including royalty, in the Eurasian steppes suggested the horse cultures of Scythian, Sarmatian, Hittite, and other women have inspired and fundamentally defined the Amazon myth. In 2019, a grave with multiple generations of female Scythian warriors, armed in golden headdresses, was found near Russia's Voronezh.
What's funny is that the Scythians most likely are
the Russians of today.
Lost tribes.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Listen to this. The origin of the word is uncertain. It may be derived from the Iranian ethnonym Hamazan, warriors, a word attested indirectly through a derivation, a denominal verb in Hesychius of Alexandria's gloss Hamazakaran, to make war in Persian, where it appears together with the Indo-Iranian root kar, make. It may alternatively be a Greek word descended from something and Jonas, manless without husbands, alpha privative combined with the derivation from man cognate. This is all linguistics. So it's like without husbands.
Basically,
what you were going through today, basically.
What did you say?
No, what we're going through today, like resting. It's like resting bitch face taken to its natural conclusion. This is exactly what this is.
But basically, what I wanted to point out was that part of you didn't read it, but part of the way they reportedly, kept their numbers, their population, is what they would do is in shifts they'd go and they'd lie on a beach, where sailors were known to, I guess like merchant ships or whatever, right? Yeah. And they would entice the men to come. Once they got there, they would try to have sex with every single man there, and even those that didn't want to, they were essentially raped. The men by the Amazons. Okay. Then after the mating, the Amazons would murder all the men. They would literally murder the men, and then when they would have children, if it's a girl, they'd keep it. If it's a boy, they'd usually kill it.
Yeah, unless it's
nice people.
Yeah,
these are good people. These are people you want to know.
Herodotus used the terms androktons, killers, slayers of men, and androleterai, destroyers of men, murderesses. Amazons are called antinerai, equivalent to men, and Aeschylus used stigonor, those who loathe all men. Sounds familiar, huh?
Also, apparently, they would remove one of their breasts. You know why?
Why?
To make it easier to be an archer. The breast is in the way.
Yeah. Crazy. So crazy. Dude, but it's like they're repeating. They've taken every single ideology that ever was against Judaism or against anything decent, and they're bringing
whatever God likes. Basically, they're against it.
They're against it, but like whatever he hates, that's what they're doing. Like literally, anything he's ever hated in the past, they're like, hey, let's resurrect all of it.
It's like a Marx Brothers routine. They're like, whatever it is, I'm against it.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Never heard that song?
Yeah. I'm just looking for the part. Hold on. Yeah, here you go. A Greek... Okay. The poet Bacchylides and the historian Herodotus located the Amazon homeland in Pontus at the southern shores of the Black Sea and the capital Themyscira at the banks of the Thermodon, modern Term River, by the modern city of Term. Herodotus also explains how it came to be that some Amazons would eventually be living in Scythia, a Greek force that after it had defeated the Amazons in battle at the Thermodon River sailed home. The fleet included 3 ships that were crowded with Amazon prisoners. Once out at sea, the Amazon prisoners overwhelmed and killed the small crews of the prisoner ships, and despite not having even basic navigation skills, managed to escape and safely embark at the Scythian shore. As soon as the Amazon had caught enough horses, they easily asserted themselves in the steppe between the Caspian Sea and the Black Sea, and according to Herodotus would eventually assimilate with the Scythians, whose descendants were Suromatei, the predecessors of the Sarmatians. Hold on a second, I'm just looking for this part where he talks about... here you go. It talks about these guys. Okay. Strabo visits and confirms the original homeland of the Amazons on plains by the Thermodon River. However, long gone and not seen again during his lifetime, the Amazons had allegedly retreated into the mountains. Strabo, however, added that other authors, among them Metrodorus of Skepsis and Hypsicrates, claimed that after abandoning Themyscira, the Amazons had chosen to resettle beyond the borders of Gargarians, an all-male tribe native to the northern foothills of the Caucasian mountains. The Amazons and the Gargarians had for many generations met in secrecy once a year during 2 months in spring in order to produce children. These encounters would take place in accordance with ancient tribal customs and collective offers of sacrifice. This is basically a blank fest. All females were retained by the Amazons themselves, and males were returned to the Gargarians. 5th century BC poet Magnus sings of the bravery of the Lydians in a cavalry battle against the Amazons. He's singing about men who won. Hippolyte, an Amazon queen, died by the hand of Hercules, who had set out for her in order to obtain a queen's magic belt in a task he was to accomplish as one of the labors of Hercules. Although neither side had intended to resort to lethal combat, a misunderstanding led to the fight. Of course it did.
You know, there's Midrashim about the Amazons.
Yeah. In the course of this...
There's one... Yeah, go
Let
ahead.
me just finish reading. In the course of this, Heracles killed the queen and several other Amazons. In awe of the strong hero, the Amazons eventually handed the belt to Heracles. In another version, Heracles does not kill the queen, but exchanges her kidnapped sister Melanippe for the belt. And then you have another myth, Theseus myth. This is crazy. Queen Hippolyte is abducted by Theseus, who takes her to Athens, where she experiences forced marriage, sexual slavery, rape, and as a result of forced pregnancy, bears him a son, Hippolytus. In other versions, the kidnapped Amazon is called Antiope, the sister of Hippolyte. In revenge, the Amazons invaded Greece, plundered some cities along the coast of Attica, and besieged the occupied Athens. Hippolyte, who fought on the side of Athens, and according to another account with the Amazons, was killed during the final battle, along with all of the Amazons. According to Plutarch, the god Dionysus and his companions fought Amazons at Ephesus. The Amazons fled to Samos, and Dionysus pursued them and killed a great number of them at a site since called Panama, like Panama, blood-soaked field. Yeah. That's what Panama means? Blood-soaked field? Oh my goodness. The Christian author Eusebius writes that during the reign of Oxyntes, one of the mythical kings of Athens, the Amazons burned down the temple at Ephesus. In another myth, Dionysus unites with the Amazons to fight against Cronus and the Titans. Polyaenus writes that after Dionysus had subdued the Indians, he allies with them and the Amazons and takes them into his service, who serve him in his campaign against the Bactrians. Nonnus, in his Dionysica, reports about the Amazons of Dionysus, but states that they do not come from Thermodon. Amazons and Alexander the Great. Amazons are also mentioned by biographers of Alexander the Great, who report of Queen Thalestris bearing him a child, a story in the Alexander romance. However, other biographers of Alexander dispute the claim, including the highly regarded Plutarch. He noted a moment when Alexander's naval commander, Onesicritus, read an Amazon myth passage of his Alexander history to King Lysimachus of Thrace, who had taken part in the original expedition. The king smiled at him and said, "And where was I then?" The Talmud recounts that Alexander wanted to conquer a kingdom of women, but reconsidered when the women told him, "If you kill us, people will say, Alexander kills women, and if we kill you, people will say, Alexander is the king whom women killed in battle."
Right, so the Midrash, that's what the Midrash says. It says that Alexander, he marched into the Black Forest. There he encountered the kingdom of the Amazons,
Hilarious.
And he wanted to do battle against them.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, "Great king, this is unwise. For if you destroy us, people will say, oh, there goes Alexander, killer of women. And if we were, if we defeat you, then you'll be humiliated by this because you were defeated by women. So instead, here, take this golden loaf of bread."
Yeah.
They made him a loaf of bread made out of gold, and it had something to do with wisdom. It was pretty interesting. It's in Ma'am Loez.
Yeah. Crazy. What can we say? They're bringing it all back, man. They're bringing it all back. All these whacked out. This guy wrote this Vice account. If the world was progressive and just, I'm like, where are you progressing? You're progressing so far, you're regressing into regression. Where are they progressing to? Where do they think they're progressing to? Like, this is what I don't really understand, How they even get into their heads that, first of all, that they're progressing, and the question is, if they're progressing, what's the end goal for them? Or they don't have an end goal.
Progressive, can I just boil down when progressives, or the average person that says the word progressive,
yeah,
right, and doesn't laugh.
Yeah.
Here's what they mean. The more liberal sex becomes, the more progressive, the more evolved and society becomes. Do you understand?
Yeah.
The easier, the less repressed sexually, that's the progression. There's nothing else. That's literally what it's about.
And this includes abortion, because you want to be able to have sex however you want it. Let's say
the Roman food and sex orgy, right? They would eat and throw up so that they can continue eating.
Yeah. Dude, they're literally right. You know what they write? One of their hashtags on Twitter. Abortion is health. That's literally what they write. Abortion is healthcare.
Abort yourself.
And it's always the women who are for that are like, you look at them and you're like, wow, someone should have done that to you. Like, you look at them and they're just like the nastiest people. The ones who are the most vocal about it, It's just like, I'm telling you, it's just, I don't know.
Worst, to me, the one that brings up the most animosity is freaking Ashley Judd.
What did she say?
She said something like, she's like, I'm gonna go get my abortion today.
God. No, they're like proud of it. It's. Dude, can I tell you something? I think I told you this. I dated a girl in my 20s, and she told me she went to a certain university in a place up in East, and in the East Coast, northeastern part of America. And the university is situated in a town that's like kind of ghetto-ish. Part of it's ghetto-ish, Like, the only normal part is the actual campus, of that town. And she told me, like, when she was 17, she was a freshman when she was 17 years old. She was still 17. Whatever, she had an accident, she got pregnant. So she goes they had a clinic over there. This is where this whole Sanger thing comes in. I think I mentioned this to you. And she went there, and they that allowed girls who are under 18 to sign for themselves, so that they don't have to tell their parents, Okay, whatever. Yeah. But why? Because all the girls there, most of the girls are Hispanic and black. But that's not the startling part. That's not a surprise. When she went there, she was sitting in the waiting room, because it's just like it's like a conveyor belt over there. And she's talking to some of these girls. She told me this. She's like, yeah, I was talking to some of these Hispanic girls, and one of them told me. She asked me, so, this your first time here? And this is my girlfriend. She's like startled by that question. She's like, yeah. What do you mean my first time? Yeah, it's my first time. Hopefully only time. She's like, oh, because this is like my third or fourth. They use it as contraception. They consider it contraception. So, there's like two sides of this dance. There's the people who are convinced that this is contraception, and there's the people who are happily doing the stuff to curb the population of blacks and Hispanics.
Can I tell you about a time when there was a very successful attempt, a multitask, if you will, by the pagan aristocracy of Europe?
Mm-hmm. Please.
Okay, it's called World War I.
Yeah.
Where you had these three factions fighting over a strip of land. And this was a common one, but this would be the more definitive battle that could come to represent. It could be the archetype of this idea. It's called Somme, the Battle of Somme.
Mm-hmm.
Hundreds of thousands of men died in this battle from all sides, from French and British, mostly in German, without an inch of land gained one way or the other.
Yeah.
It was a series of incompetent, supposedly quote unquote, incompetent general with bad strategies that caused. But what it really was, it was a mass sacrifice and a controlling of the population. See, it serves multi-purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Like these people, right?
Yeah.
Who feel like the Malthusians or whatever, or
yeah.
they want to cull the population, right? Because it's getting unruly, it's getting out of control, right?
Yeah.
So they make a big war. They kill all the boys, most of them, okay, and then becomes more controllable, more docile, okay. And meanwhile, it's also a massive sacrifice to the gods that they worship.
Yeah.
Efficient, no?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not just done to black and brown people.
No, I know. It was just crazy when she told me that, and then yeah, and then when I think I told you this before, I'm gonna say it again. Then I found out that somebody I know was a doctor who performs abortions. Literally, this is a person who's supposedly a Republican, conservative, what have you, said that she's glad to do it because she's basically a racist. She's happy to curb the black and Hispanic population herself, she says. Which gives a fantastic name, which on the one hand gives a fantastic name to conservatives, obviously, but on the other hand, it's like, if these idiots only knew that people like that exist, these people who are screaming for abortion, if they only knew who Margaret Sanger was, if they only knew what the intention of these people is, it's just they would lose their minds. They literally would be like, if they weren't
so. There's an amazing phenomenon too.
Yeah.
Even when they find out who they are, you know what happens?
They fact check it and they create a whole different story.
In some cases, but what I was going to say is that they kind of think about it for a while and they think, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
They submit to it.
Yeah.
Because the idea of saying that I'm wrong, and the idea of looking at people that you were programmed to hate, right? Like the patriarchy, the white patriarchy.
Yeah.
You're programmed to hate them.
Yeah.
You would rather continue hating them after you find out that they're not the ones that are actually trying to genocide you.
Or after you find out
still continue hating them.
Or after you find out that the real patriarchy is Muslims. The flip side, they'll rather continue loving them.
Yeah.
It's just, listen, the positive aspect of all of this, what we're saying is that this very aspect is going to be their undoing. But again, we go back to how much damage they're going to do before that happens.
You know what I'd like to talk about for a moment?
Yeah. Then we could probably wrap up because it's been 3 hours, sir.
I did say a moment.
Oh, okay, fine.
This guy.
This freaking guy,
This guy, huh? You ever heard the song "Blinded by the Light"?
Blinded by. It's in every movie where there's like drugs. When they're about to sell.
Every kind of late 70s
yeah,
movie.
when they're about to sell drugs or we're about to do something with parties and they're about to start a new venture. It's just like blinded by the light.
I would like to read the lyrics to this song.
Uh-huh.
Have you ever heard of this? This absolute rant, Have you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, but read the lyrics for the folks at home.
Blinded by the light, revved up like a deuce, another runner in the night. What the fuck is that?
Pardon our language.
What the hell?
Pardon our language.
What is a deuce? We got to put on a language advisory.
Yeah.
You know, in the we really have to.
Yeah. No, I'm just gonna put the title of this episode is gonna be "Words Matter."
No, I mean every description, every episode, has to be language advisory.
Yes.
Blinded by the light.
So is there an explanation? Is there an explanation for the lyrics?
I've yet. First, let me read the lyrics. It gets crazy.
Here.
Okay?
Yeah.
What the hell is a deuce and a runner in the night? I don't know. Okay. Madman, drummer, bummer. Wait. Madman, drummers, bummers, Indians in the summer with a teenage diplomat. I'll say that again.
Yeah.
Madman, drummers, bummers, Indians in the summer with a teenage diplomat. Dude, Inagata Devita from Iron Butterfly makes more sense than this.
Yeah, let's see. The Meaning of Blinded by the Light by Manfred's Man's Earth Band.
Wait. Let me finish. Let me just finish.
Fine.
I'm not going to make any comments.
Fine.
I'm just shocked. That's all.
Fine.
Okay. Madman, drummers, bummers, Indians in the summer with a teenage diplomat. In the dumps with the mumps as the adolescent pumps his way into his hat. With a boulder on my shoulder, feeling kind of older, I tripped the merry-go-round. With this very unpleasing, sneezing and wheezing, the calliope crashed to the ground. Mm-hmm. The calliope crashed to the ground, but she was blinded by the light. And then it goes, let me see if there's some other crazy... Oh, yeah, here we go. Some silicone sister with a manager, mister. Some silicone sister.
Oh, like a girl with fake, with a like her.
Told me I got what it takes.
A girl who's in the those movies, and she has a pimp.
All right, she said, "I'll turn you on, son, into something strong. Play the song with the funky break." And Go-Kart Mozart was checking out the weather chart to see if it was safe outside. And little Early Pearly came by in his curly whirly and asked me if I needed a ride.
Ay.
I think that's it. That's about. No. There's more nonsense, insanity. I'm skipping through the chorus, right? So here we go. Now Scott with the slingshot finally found a tender spot and throws his lover in the sand. And some bloodshot forget-me-not said daddy's within earshot. Save the buckshot, turn up the band.
What the hell?
Oh my God, that's just. She's gonna make. Okay, she got down, but she never got tired. She's gonna make it through the night. Oh, that's absolutely madness. Okay, so I'm ready to hear the explanation for this.
Hold on.
I demand an explanation for this.
1 second.
Somebody help me, please.
1 second. 1 second. I'll help you.
Is this has to be some kind of one of these like Illuminati shits, right? Like this has to be.
Okay. No. Listen.
Brainwashing thing.
Listen. Here. Okay, here's a comment. This guy writes, everybody's putting too much thought into meetings. I've read most of it, blah, blah, blah. Here. The song is about partying too hard with cocaine. Blinded by the light equals pupils dilated. Runner equals staying up through the night. Revved up like a deuce, wired. Trip the merry-go-round equals felt so wild. 5, told me I've got what it takes, meaning he or she so wild he can do the stuff without dying because it's so strong. I'll turn you on equals give you something. It's a slang turn me on to a joint. Play the song with a funky break equals play a song to groove to while they're wired. Checking out the weather charts to see if it's safe outside equals make sure there are no cops around. Early Burley asked me if I needed a ride. Someone early in the morning that wanted to pick him up because he was hitchhiking. She got down, but she never got tired. She got wired. She's not wired anymore, but she's not down either. She's going to make it through the night. She didn't overdose. The lyrics plainly stated, if you know slang. So basically, dude, I mean, it makes sense because all that song's always played in every movie with like some sort of cocaine situation.
So it's basically just some kind of weird jive, right?
Yeah, it's just jive about being coked up. That's exactly what this is.
I'll take it. You know, not everything has to be sinister.
Yeah. It's still, it makes sense because,
I mean, I guess all that's pretty sinister, like...
Here, movies...
Not sinister, not the way we're talking about.
Yeah, here, movies that... That...
Dude,
have the song...
Here.
Yeah.
It's by Bruce Springsteen. Maybe that's
no, he did a cover of it. He did a cover. Here. Movies that... soundtrack. Wait, crap. No. 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 Blinded by the light. Hey, come on.
Blinded by... Man, that song is ingrained.
Blinded by the light, yeah. Light in... Hey, come on, man. What is going on with my phone? Movies. Okay. Blinded by the Light. There's a movie called Blinded by the Light. That's why I'm like trying to... No, man. Here. I'm just gonna do song, and then it'll tell me the... what movies it was in. Here. Okay. It was originally written and recorded by Bruce Springsteen. Originally. And then a cover by British rock band reached number 1. Oh, they are the cover. His was the original. Wow.
Damn, I never even heard his.
So here. The song came about when Columbia Records president Clive Davis, upon listening to an early version of Greetings from Asbury Park, felt the album lacked a potential single. Springsteen wrote this and Spirit in the Night in response. According to Springsteen, he wrote the song by going through a rhyming dictionary in search of appropriate words. The first line of the song, madman, drummers, bummers, and Indians in the summers with a teenage diplomat, is autobiographical. Madman Drummers is a reference to drummer Vinny Lopez, known as Madman, later changed to Mad Dog. Indians in the Summer refers to the name of the Springsteen's old Little League team. Teenage diplomat refers to himself. As the adolescent pumps his way into his hat, recalls his Aunt Dora Kirby claiming Bruce never took his baseball hat off. A merry-go-round is baseball slang for when a pitcher keeps walking batters. The remainder of the song tells of many unrelated events with the refrain of blinded by the light, cuts loose like a deuce, another runner in the night. That's already cocaine. It was the first single from Greetings from Asbury Park. Springsteen's version was commercially unsuccessful and did not appear on the music chart. So they basically these guys did a cover and it became number 1. See, everything has its like timing. It's all about timing. 1976. Unbelievable. Blinded by the Light is Springsteen's only number 1 single as a songwriter on the Hot 100. His highest charting single as a solo performer was Dancing in the Dark. Dude, you know he did this like elaborate commercial for
I'm on fire.
Yeah.
I like that song.
Yeah, well, he did a commercial for Smack Scenes, you know that, right? He did a commercial. He did a commercial for Smack Scenes. Here.
He's a dumbass.
Yeah.
He's been a dumbass for a long, long time now.
Bruce Spring.
I only tolerate him because I like Max Weinberg.
Oh no, he didn't. He did a commercial not for Maxine, but he did. Oh no, he wanted the vaccinated audience. But here, Bruce Springsteen.
You know, Conan O'Brien did this thing. He goes, the best of Bruce Springsteen's drum, like drum hits or something like that. It's always the same beat. It's exactly the same beat. Every song.
Yeah. It's basically a commercial a commercial for Jeep. How we're all in this together, blah, 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 blah.
Like a rock. Oh, no, that's Ram.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, like a rock. Remember that?
Like a rock. Yeah.
That was like...
That was Prudential.
Like,
that was Prudential, man.
No. Like a rock, that was like that was a car thing.
No, here.
Oh, like a rock.
Here, hold on.
Like a rock. Like Ram.
Like a rock. First of all, it's Bob Seger singing it. It's for Chevy. Chevy trucks.
Chevy.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, like a rock.
Yeah. That's what sold Chevy a lot of cars because they were competing against Ford.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, Ford's they didn't have a great they had like Devo, whip it good, something like that.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. They didn't have that. I can't recall a song associated with Ford.
Yeah.
And, I'm grateful for that.
No, have you driven a Ford lately? That's what they used to have. Have you driven a Ford lately? And then they had...
Even though my parents' first new car in America was a 1986 Ford Taurus. And
that was my parents. Sure. That was also my parents. Not 86, but like 92, I believe. Dude,
I couldn't believe a new car, dude. That was like...
Dude, that car was sick. My dad pulled up in the 92 Taurus station wagon, silver or gray. And I was just like, what? The thing is, my uncle, his brother, had when we came to America, he had a black Mercury Sable, which was the Mercury, the luxury version of the Ford Taurus. Black Mercury Sable with a beige interior. I think it was leather. I don't remember. But that car was sick. And it had like a moonroof and a sunroof. And I don't know. To me, it was like the car. I was like, oh my God, this thing's like a spaceship. I was like 7 years old.
The absolute ultimate for me was my parents. They got like after the Ford Taurus, which we had for like so long.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
It was station wagon or a sedan?
Station wagon.
Oh, okay.
Red interior.
Oh my God.
Okay, it was a white station wagon with red interior.
Oh my God. How did they even make that?
I don't know, but it was cool. My brother got that car. Okay, and then he's 8 years older than me, so so he got everything.
Yeah.
So no, that's fine. That's fine. So basically, then after that, I can't recall, but my parents got an Infiniti Q45 that was 2 years old, but it was like barely. I think because my uncle he sold cars, and he would get cars at like auctions, right? And sometimes you'd have cars that elderly people, would have in their. They barely ever drove it, so even though it's 2 years old, it was on the lot basically. So it was like nearly brand new Q45, like 1991 or something like that.
Yeah.
That car, dude. I thought that was the epitome of wealth. I felt wealthy when they got that Q45.
Yeah.
That was like, Q45.
When you just said wealthy, just now, it reminded me of when Chris Rock is talking about. He's talking about like Shaq, Shaquille O'Neal. He's like, Shaq is rich. The white man that signs his check is wealthy. He's like, you know why we're not wealthy? He's like, we sitting on 22s. They spinning and they spin and they spin and they spinning. I don't want to say the word. They spin and they spinning.
Yeah.
He's like, I got some rims. He's like, white people got wealth. This is funny.
Yeah, especially me. I got a lot of wealth.
Oh yeah, I like how you're like
wealthy.
I like in today's interview you're like. They saw you for the first time and you're like, you look. What did they say? They said something and you're like, no, unfortunately. You said something like unfortunately or This is me, something like that. I don't know. It was just like
I don't recall. It sounds like something I would say. I just don't remember.
there's so many moments where I was like, I think you.
That sounds like something that I would say.
Yeah, exactly. There were so many moments where you said something or I said something where we wanted to say clearly something more, like go further with it, but we held back because of the audience in the Zoom. And I was just like, at some point, I was just like, you were talking, and I was like, finishing the sentence that would have been in my head, and I sat there, and I was, you could tell in the video, I'm like cracking up. And you're talking about something.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Right.
You're talking about something serious, and I'm like trying not to die of laughter, because I'm just imagining what the conversation would be like. If it was just the podcast, you know. I was like,
dude, it was difficult. The
Yeah.
podcast was difficult.
It was hard.
I was not at ease.
I hear.
It's hard to let your brain go.
Yeah.
You know, when you're concerned about like how you appear.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable. I totally prefer this form because like nobody wants to tune in for my face, right?
Yeah.
The people who tune in, they want to occasionally hear what I might have to say, maybe, right?
Yeah.
So it's not, so let that happen. Just let that be, man.
It's called, well, in your case, you think you have a face for radio. You know what's funny? Our friend, who you
Shut
know...
up, radio face.
Our friend who you... Oh, my God. Our friend who you know, she's like... She always said about my Rogue videos, this is back, a couple of years, when I started them during COVID, she's like, you should do, like, audios, like, radio things. It's better because, like, when you're on video, she's like, you just kind of, like, come off as a little bit awkward. I'm like, gee, thanks. Douche.
God, that was not nice.
It wasn't nice. What, on my part or on her part?
Yeah, but it's okay because you didn't have any feelings left at that point.
Exactly. All my feelings.
That's one of the benefits of being a guy, I suppose, if you want to call that a benefit.
I guess.
The feelings are crushed out of us, and then all we got is shtick.
Well, listen. At least you have the benefit of being married. By me, my problem now is that I forgot what it's like to generate feelings, or when I do have feelings, it's not that I suppress them. I'm very cautious, And it's like one of those corny situations where it's like, the woman I end up with, what's that song? I wanna know what love is. I want you to show me.
I wanna know what love is.
Yeah, because it's just like,
I want you. I'm trying to make everything sound like Bob Seger.
Or Springsteen.
Like a rock.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's just been essentially beaten out of me by a few relationships here and there. Whatever.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
I felt that way, and there's different ways that I think I've gotten out of it.
Uh-huh.
And really, they all involve God.
You felt that way before you got married?
Of course, man. Are you kidding me?
Interesting.
Like
because you got married young.
No,
so
because
it's like,
I've had some experiences where literally it's like, completely like nothing but callous.
The person obliterated you, basically.
Several times, and that's not one person. It's just it's happened a lot. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So basically, well, okay. So this idea of like romanticism, this probably allowed me to get married. Actually, I don't know if I could have actually gotten married in the state of mind I was from being, obliterated. Right.
Yeah.
So here it is. And by the way, we're not whining about this. This happened, right?
Yeah.
People deal with this kind of stuff. So,
yeah.
I can hear some lady whining. I can just hear it in my head. Like, they're whining.
Yeah.
Shut up. Anyway.
That was such a Bill Burr moment just now. Or a Patrice, maybe even a Patrice moment, actually.
I can hear it.
Yeah.
It's like was it like Eddie Murphy's like I can smell it. Yeah. So
a G.I. Joe is swimming underwater. trying to figure out where the bubbles is coming from. And G.I. Joe got stuck in the water. And then a big brown shark came. Ah! And then my brother, he fell in the tub. And he's like, he hit his head, and his blood gushing out my eye. And, you know, he's like, blood gushing out my eye. G.I. Joe up my ass. And my brother, ooh, and then my mother comes in with the boomerang. Ah! When a black mother hits you with a shoe, it's just like a boomerang.
Comical.
Yeah.
What a comical.
It's genius, man.
Picture he painted.
This is genius. But anyway, you were saying.
Yeah. Anyways, I was saying that, like, so basically, God bless you. So basically, I would have to, like, kind of think about way back some experiences that I had, right, that were positive. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You got to try to kind of, like, remember,
Yeah.
you know? And it
I do
probably
that.
has
I do that from time to time.
most, I've had to go back to, like, times when, you know, when I was, like, 8 or 9 or 10 or 11, like that. Because that was very kind of like a pure kind of like love.
Dude, can I tell you?
Like,
Dude, can I tell you something? So, a friend of mine, it's a good friend of mine. He persists in telling me that one of the reasons I'm not married is because I still live in that headspace of I think that I'm striving for. I think I can meet someone where I'm gonna have that kind of 16, 17-year-old love. You know what's crazy? Shortly after he told me that, this is a couple of years ago, he told me that for the first time. I met somebody at that time, I think I was 38. The person was exactly a year older than me. And we literally had, whatever connection that we had, it was something akin to like, 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds. And it's actually crazy because speaking of Asbury Park, our first date was in Asbury Park on the boardwalk. And, dude, I don't know. It was like the time that I spent with this person, the only reason I didn't proceed with her is because, you know, she had 3 kids. Like this whole complicated thing with divorce, 3 kids, whatever. I just couldn't. I couldn't do it. But this person, I'm telling you right now, if I find somebody like her that with whom I have a connection, like the connection I had with this person, just, you know, I don't know, a few years younger than me, with no kids or maybe like 1 kid, I'm telling you right now, I'm not going to walk to the chuppah, I'm going to run. Like God is my witness, man. Hashem is listening to my words. I will marry this person immediately. I will not even think twice. I had that kind of connection. It was, I'm telling you, dude, it was like that.
Dude, the thing is, you know how I keep telling you,
and it wasn't just physical.
To kind of try to focus.
Yeah.
Hold on. Try to focus on a certain demographic of age.
No, I know. It just something that happened. It wasn't. This was like 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
I'm saying that focusing on a certain on young adult women, right? I would say, you know, late 20s, right? Because the further up you go, it's not about like fertility. It's the likelihood of them already having relationships with children and stuff like that starts to go up.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
I know.
That's also.
Dude, you want to know something?
Yeah.
No, you want to know something crazy though? I feel like I might be totally wrong, but I feel like this generation of women who are in their 20s as we speak, they lack the proper amount of shechina to be able to, and I'm only saying this because I've interacted with them a little bit. It's almost like they block themselves from love. Like it seems like the women that I meet who are capable of, ironically, capable of love, capable of the kind of love that we're talking about here, are dafka the ones that are closer to our age, or our generation. Maybe like, let's say, maximum 10 years younger. Maximum. The girls in their 20s, you know, dude, there's a reason for resting bitch face. There's a reason for it. It's not just a political, cultural, whatever it is. The Shechina has been removed from their spirit, and that includes being able to form real bonds. I mean, a lot of that has to also do with social media and all this kind of phones. I mean, I don't know. All right, what do you think? Do you think I'm wrong?
Yeah.
Okay. Why?
I think that God gave us human beings. Okay, whoever we're dealing with here, they're human beings, unless they decide to reprogram themselves. But that's we're not going to talk about that. Okay, the girls that we're dealing with, regardless of how the culture has not steered them well, right, are still here, right? Like God is not like, ugh, these people are. If they were beyond like help, right? If they didn't have potential, like God would just wipe us away with a flood. Do you understand?
For sure. I'm not saying they're beyond help. For sure not.
And what I mean by beyond help is I don't mean like it's going to take, it's going to take like the village to save this person. I'm not talking about. I'm saying like that. It's not. Obviously, these are the people that God put you with, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So remember that quote that we read earlier, right? Like if you see, like So hold on a second. I'm looking for something that I just saw. It's give me a chance to explain how it pertains to what you just said. Okay. So this guy on Facebook, Eliakim Cohen.
Oh, I know him. He's a friend of mine.
I don't know him, but
he got married when he was like 41 or 40.
Well, see, proof of concept.
Yes.
So, okay, so
took him a while.
Quote of the week. What did you say?
No, it took him a while. He was dating for a long time. On and off.
Here it is. Sad but poignant. The Klausenberger Rebbe. He went through the camps, and he once told someone, "There's one thing I miss about the Holocaust. When we went on the death march, we were all clean-shaven, and our hair was shaved off, too. We marched side by side, and no one knew if the person next to them was a chassid or a litvak. No one knew I was a Rebbe. We all just held our arms around each other and tried to keep warm, and tried to keep our fellow Jews warm. That's what I miss from the Holocaust." So that's attributed to him. So let's say that that's true. So how does that apply to what you're talking about? And this applies to me too. We have a lot of sophisticated and complicated, I don't know what you would call it. I don't want to say character traits. I don't want to say requirements. Something maniery. I don't know why that Russian word.
Mannerisms. Yeah.
No, actually.
Or habits.
Proclivities, tastes.
Yeah.
Tastes is what I'm saying, right?
Maniera is a habit. Whatever. Yeah.
We've developed, our palate for everything became very sophisticated. We're all sommeliers in every part of life, not just wine. Mm-hmm. I'm not a sommelier in wine, but people treat like my tea has to be like this and not like that.
Yeah.
And like the shirt has to be with starch, and you know what I'm saying, right? But we do that with people. These kind of people, not that kind of people. And I think that is probably going to get us killed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true.
Imagine, you just any one of these girls, especially the most vapid one, right?
Yeah.
If you were stuck on an island with them, you'd work it out.
Yeah, of course, eventually. You have no choice.
And you would love each other deeply.
Yeah,
deeply.
Of course.
Because there's something fundamental, right? You're both human beings, and whatever.
You ever see the movie Blue Lagoon?
Yeah.
With Brooke, she couldn't stand her, and then eventually it's like, what else are you gonna do?
No,
that and she's hot.
Dude, you can't love something that you like were neutral about.
Yeah, exactly.
You say it's not like there's There had to be that potential there. Love is not just gonna come out of nowhere.
Dude, can I tell you something? This is kind of like referring, the people who are, you always see these stories of the people who became really frum were the biggest antis before that. And I tell my mother all the time, there's somebody we know, whatever, she's like really anti everything. Anti not just religion, anti just being Jewish. And I tell her, like, you shouldn't say the things that you're saying because you never know with this person. These are the kind of this person may end up, like, if this person entertains the thought of doing anything, she will become like a Hasid. She'll become like Satmar. You know what I'm saying?
Right? It has to be channeled correctly.
Yeah.
Right?
She's like, no way, it'll never happen. I'm like, never say never. Never ever say never. Because she also, like, she's like Jewish by the mother, or her mother's Jewish by the mother, whatever it is. So my mom, she doesn't even consider this woman Jew. I'm like, she's halakhically Jewish. That's number one. Number two, don't ever say never. Never ever say never. I can show you stories of people who, if you told them that they're going to be religious, back in the day, they would laugh in your face. They'd be the last person to become religious. The last. Like, not even, it would be like 1 in a bazillion chance. So, yeah, you never know.
So, in conclusion, I think that I'm recommending, that you focus on younger girls, younger adult women, okay?
Mm-hmm.
From the mid-20s and up, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to suggest younger because I don't think that you can make yourself comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Right? So the reason I'm focusing on that is because not because I'm some kind of like pig who just likes young girls. You need to have, it's your mitzvah to have children, okay?
Yeah.
And it's just much easier to do that, like, just logistically.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Correct. All right, sir. With that said, 3.5 hours. I think we've said all we needed to say. There, Chief. And I can sense that the last episode that we posted, the one from today, you know what? I'm not going to say anything because words matter, and let's see what happens. But all I can say is...
I'd definitely like to know what you wanted to say. You can tell me later.
No, the thing has 50 views in 5 hours. So
is that good?
That's pretty good. Pretty good because...
Pretty good. Yeah.
This has a potential to have like 200 views at least. It's good. Also, I think people saw that it's only an hour long instead of 3 hours. They're like, oh, these guys didn't yak the entire time.
Dude, you know what? I think we should probably let's take a couple of days off from podcasting and make clips from what we've done already.
That's what I'm going to do, yeah. I'm going to start doing that.
All right, cool.
All right, sir. It's been real. I shall converse with you, B'ezrat Hashem.
Yes, sir.
All right, sir. Later.
Later.
Peace.